to fall. So, yeah, all that strength that was happening in the market right now, well, guess what is not at the high of the day? ETH is back under 2,000. Bitcoin has already pulled back about a point or so. And all of a sudden, we're right back to where we were before, which is on market strength. Crypto is doing nothing for you, everybody. It doesn't mean it's not having a bad day, but you'd like to see this actually sustaining the move instead of falling like an absolute rock. I should have shorted it up there. But it's 11 o'clock. We already told you got a special treat. You've got the professor himself.
Yes. And
not Joe, because we'll update that. It's Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yes.
We'll be back at 2 o'clock. Hopefully the weather isn't completely horrible and you can get to the gym. And, well...
Apparently it's bad. The wife sent me a video.
It's like really bad, eh? Yeah, well, apparently it is pretty bad. It's Toronto. It's winter. That's how it is. We'll enjoy some fajitas, apparently. Oh, that is really bad.
Yeah, it's not so bad here. Let me just show it to you guys. It's not the greatest. How do I go full screen?
It's actually not that bad.
So just a lot of snowing action here. That's like on top of our gazebo right there. So you can kind of see just a little bit of action. She says it's more, yeah, it could be a lot worse. There's our little, hey, what's up, Gnome? It's nice to see you, Gnome, right there. Don't try to break in. This is like a fortress, that fence right there.
Yeah, clearly.
So, just FYI on that one. Okay, guys, yeah, nice day there. It's snowing here. Stay inside, stay safe, stay warm. And I got to talk to Obi because we need to get a discount. He's on way too much now. So I think it's like the GO train, you know, like when you take it 20 times, your next 5 rides are free or whatever. So Obi's not getting paid for the next little while. He's been on so much.
At the end of the month, it's always free.
Yeah, more buying power for Obi. How about that? All right, thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you back again. We're just playing around, of course. Thanks, Obi, for coming through. And he's with Sharif right now.
Get him.
Boom.
Yo.
Greetings
what is
and salutations, beautiful people. Welcome to the Midday Show. That is your boy, Obi. He is the one, Kenobi, and I'm Sharif. And let's say hello to everybody. What a day it's been on these here markets outside. And hopefully we're going to have a good one on the show. Shout out to Ronaldo. See what happened at the Bernabeu yesterday? I said no good, racism bad. More on that later. Slow motion for me. We got Ichiro, we got Gucci Trader, Buffalo Soldier, we got Usher, Green Day. Who else, man? Mike PD right up. We got PD. We got Ochiro, Sit, Spin, Strobe, Christ, God, Son, One. Shout out to Macro, Morales, Oslam, Jal, Press, Death God. He's in the house as well. Shout out to Nihuya. And we got Pizza Gang, 187, yay. Shout out to Ganin Patel. Probably butchered that, I do apologize. Jay Bronson, Kalua, Miko, and then Mohammed Saladin. Mohammed Saladin, not Mo Salah, you know, bit different person there. Ryan Davis, we got Roops, Bata, Filter Trade 67. We got Ronaldo Wilberto. Shout out to Cheese Wizard. We got, who else, man? Michael Baldwin, Manford Man, Mendo Quazan. Oh boy, these are hard names. Damian Tarza, Hinsey, Green Saber, Anil Bilo, Sell High. That is my dream as well. Good morning, Obi, and how's it going? I'm gonna have to actually wait
for sure. No
till
worries.
you
No worries.
wait on that, Obi. Wait and tell us how you're doing when we get back from the big desk.
I'll be brief, but I have to mention this pop in Snapchat here. Nice push up for SNAP heading into this midday session. Snapchat announcing that it surpassed 25 million subscribers, and it now exceeds a $1 billion annualized revenue run rate. So as we get that announcement, SNAP pushes to the upside. Back to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, that thing's definitely snapping to the upside. But I got myself a little snapped this morning on some PANW. So that's how my morning was going. Didn't really pan out there, the short. But yeah, it was kind of interesting, gapping down on some earnings and you know, some forward looks not really looking too good there, and some selling off market not really taking it too well. But yeah, this was the idea here. I can kind of full screen this, I guess. But this was the idea. I was just looking for a hold underneath this 150. 150, again, it's SSR, Sharif. So, you know, sellers might have some trouble getting
That's what
in.
happens with hot garbage.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
Sometimes,
involved in it, that's why
I'm thinking like, okay, there's definitely a lot of longs on this. If the market's not taking the news too well, I'm looking for a hold below this 150 to get involved. But no, those swipes up into the ask were absolutely wild. Again, an SSR mechanic, it's definitely gonna play some part in some of the price action that's taking place here. But I knew I was absolutely wrong. Above that 150 to 151. 151 was actually opening range high. 14. And I was talking to someone else who loves to trade spready tickers, and they were telling me that that 151 long has been working out quite nicely. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. This is exactly where everybody who was short off of the open, and maybe some of pre-market as well, is definitely taking a stop out there. And since that 151 broke out, you can see clean trend all the way up to 154 halves. Doesn't necessarily look back, and you definitely have that market tailwind on your side as well. We finally got back above 25,000 here, Sharif,
yes, sir,
on the Nasdaq. And again, when the market's kind of selling off pretty aggressively, like it has been, I usually have eyes on the VIX, and the VIX has a higher probability of reversion than anything else. So the VIX was kind of elevated over the past couple of days, as you know, back up into 20s, maybe some 22s, 23s last week as well. And we're finally taking a little bit of a pullback back down below that $20 level. I have this 19 halves roughly marked out. I just use it as a bit of a threshold for where I like to look for certain types of things, but back below that 18 halves here on the VIX. So we can definitely see some of that VIX, I guess if you want to call it weakness, reflected in the market strength today. And I was talking to Neil as well. I really got to look into more of this. Now we have weekly expiring options there as well, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Today is a Wednesday, and some of the action that was going on here on the Nasdaq did seem like some aggressive, unnatural buying. So I was just like, all right, cool. I want to look more into it. I have no idea what's going on, obviously. So we'll try to figure that out as well. We'll be right back from Madera.
I just want to let you guys know we're getting our, at this point, near daily 11 a.m. update from Google's blog. Now, I've said this before. Google really likes to post news updates on their blog around or at 11 a.m. today. They're announcing that their Gemini app now features their most advanced music generation model, which is Lyria 3. It'll be available in the U.S., and they're now rolling out to YouTube creators in other countries. So once again, the Google blog as a catalyst strikes. Be aware here, guys, GeoOGL not moving too much yet on this, but the Gemini app will now be featuring their advanced music generation model. Back to you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, you're a big fan. You were a big fan of Gemini. Are you still using?
So I wasn't. Remember,
Gemini?
I was talking crap about it because anytime I put any article with President Trump's name, it refused to review it. It was highly political. I say it was because it no longer does that.
Okay. Yeah. Things are definitely much better. Like things are changing exponentially every week.
Let's cut the crap.
Right?
Okay.
All right.
So the two best ones right now, if you want live, like up-to-date information on a developing story, are going to be Gemini and Grok. And the answers are quite simple. Gemini parses Google's index, and the indexing of their search is a little bit slower than X, whereas that brings me to my next one. Grok goes right to X. For better or for worse, the quality of the information on X, I think reasonable people can disagree on the quality. The point, though, is it's very good for current information.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. No, I 100% agree with you. There's a few accounts. So my X is very very catered. Sorry, is that the? I think so. It's X is very. I'm just curated. So that's what I mean. It's very curated to specific accounts. Because over time, I've figured out which are the accounts that give me the fastest news when I need it, because that's what I need as if I'm day trading. I'm just like, if something shows up, I want to see if it's moving, or if something is moving, I want to see if it shows up as some news. One way or the other. And X is the best place to find that.
It is.
Nowhere else is faster. Unless, of course, you have a Bloomberg terminal, which, not everybody's got that either. And again, that informational edge has also been kind of narrowing as well. X is there are some sources that are pretty much just as fast. right? And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether you have a Bloomberg terminal or you're using X or whatever. It's your decision making and your execution that is going to make the difference.
Well said.
Right.
Well said.
So regardless of but yeah, X definitely very powerful tool in terms of news and getting it exactly as it comes out. In terms of Gemini, I've been looking more into Nano Banana.
Interesting.
Nano
Well,
Banana.
I use it every morning for the morning for the morning notes thumbnail, but I really haven't dived into it all that much to use it on a more advanced level. But yeah, we'll get to all that. All right, guys, let's get right down to work here. Here's what we're looking at in the world of small cap gappers. As you can see on the position board, I'm already long here. Atom. So this is a day 2 play. There goes Atom into an area high. We're waiting for the beak to get wet there at 48. It doesn't let me in. We're in at 31s. Good. So my perception of Atom here is an ascending wedge, possible flat top break candidate. I'm alive to the fact that it was already above these levels, but it spent almost no time there. It comes back down. It gets into one more predictable pattern where we're getting higher lows. I think it's better shown here on the black charts, a little bit easier to see. So you get higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, all the while you're struggling at this 630, 635 area. Looks like we may have cleared that, and I use the word may here because this candle still hasn't closed. We've got another 4 minutes for this candle, but we haven't been up here in quite some time. So what I'm looking for is another move into 675. You know, ideally, of course, we clear that 650 before we start looking at 675, but it's up 12.5%. And as you can see, Atom has been, you know, very, very strong. I'm sure there's a joke in there somewhere, but it's the 3rd day play. Started out its life as a strong small cap gapper on Friday, and there it goes again into 660. It's taking out all my orders, and if we're in 60, you already know where I'm waiting. Now we're posting at 69, and we're looking for the continuation into 69. ATOM up 14.5, and it's been quite good to me these past few days. Continuing to watch here, looking for where the sellers are coming in. Current bar high. Current bar high is 60 on the dot. That's where the selling is. There's a seller at 60. We can't shake him, and he's a hidden seller. Nothing posted of note on any of the gateways. And trust me, bro, I got all of them. All right, so watching for a 669 move, but a nice flat top break on ATOM, and we're looking to do some more damage here. Only 3 out so far, looking for the 4th at 69. But that's not the end of the matter. So what I'm looking for, let me, I'm not wetting the beak here. What I'm also looking for is another entry on, I don't know how to say this, rhyme, whatever, RIME. What I did see was this candle here that disappointed me. The 11 o'clock candle ended up being a doji candle that closed green, most notably above the 10 EMA on the 5. So I said, look, Sharif, if this clears, if the next bar, meaning the 11:05 bar, clears the 11 o'clock bar, with the 11 o'clock bar having closed as a doji, green doji candle, I'm getting long a couple of shekels above prior bar high. Didn't happen. In fact, what the next candle was an engulfed red candle, which ended up making a lower high, not necessarily a lower low, but that lower low, trust me, bro, it came in. Subsequent candle, now we have lower highs, lower lows on RIME. That displeases me greatly. There goes Atom taking out my order into 69. It's a 75 penny high. That's a new official high of the day. ATOM is on that good stuff. Let's see if we can touch 7. Let's get to lucky number 7. So we got a 675 high. The buyers are stepping in at 60. It's all sunshine and rainbows on this side over here. Where are we going to wet the beak? You know where we're going to wet the beak, Obi? We're going to go up to 88s. And the reason we're going to go up to 88 is because we want to get that profit love right ahead of that whole dollar area. As we know, the sellers tend to step in at around that whole dollar as a psychological area of resistance. Continuing to watch. Price action back up into 72. High day 75. Looking for a move into 88s. Seller here at 72 that we can't shake. We're going to have to continue to watch to see if we can move this guy out of the way. Can we make a new area high? And by definition, it'll be a new day high. Okay, so we'll continue to watch that, and we'll see if that gets printed. I'm also watching VVPR. I had this one on my side chart, as you can see by the ticker yesterday. Look at the difference in the volume, though. I'm not putting any disrespect on VVPR's name. It's up another 34.5%, but I got to tell you, I'm displeased with the volume over here. We had ample amount of volume. We were doing, like, say on average, 170,000, 200,000 shares a pop over here. We're not even touching that, man. We're doing 13,000, 8,000, 7,000. What the hell is this? 50,000, 47. It's just not good enough. And as a result, the spread ain't what it used to be. So I'm going to continue to watch VVPR. If I like what I see, I'll get in. But other than that, we're going to have to steer clear. FJet, I've got plans here for FJet. Okay, let's talk about this one. This is a pretty aggressive uptrend. It's more of a shadowing here on the 10 EMA. What I did like about FJet is that you didn't have that, staunchy area of resistance at 9 more than once. You got it once. You got it on the 10 o'clock and the 10:05 candle. It dropped back down, held VWAP, generally held the 10 EMA, and then you blew through 9. And you've been holding the price action above 9. In fact, you actually tested 9 as a level of support. So I do like that. I'm trying to base my entry on the lower end of the range. So if you draw a trend line or you want to use a 10 EMA, currently it's showing about 910 to 905 for an entry. That's what I'm packing my patience on here on FJet, looking for a move possibly into that, but not really, gung-ho or anything like that. MLEC, we've been talking about MLEC for a period of days. Hey?
Said Mulek.
Mulek, yeah. But this one was going. It was going Friday, and then it did bupkis yesterday on a Tuesday. Today, it's back. It's bad. It's dangerous. It's doing volume. It's got about 100,000 shares per 5-minute candle. However, that's where kind of the good news does end. And that's because it has lost the volume weighted average price, and it is essentially an unbroken downtrend since that 1040 candle that made the intraday high of 950, and we can't seem to catch a break over here. So we're going to keep an eye on MLEC as well. AEWD is going to be on Uncle Sheriff shit list in a moment over here because it is losing the bid and losing it quite quickly. And then last but not least, there goes FJet, man. FJet intraday high. Last but not least, SNSE. This is another one where I think we're suffering from the same affliction as some others over here, where it can't seem to make any higher highs. It is still struggling below that lower trend line, despite the fact that you could make the argument of a compression pattern here. I'm not going to start, going into compression patterns, resolving the direction of the trend. What I want is proof that we break above that trend line and hold above it on SNSE. Alas, it's a bit more expensive of a name. It is up ridiculous amounts, though, guys. It's up 206%. So a clear, huge gap up. You can't even see yesterday's price action. So irrelevant is the price action relative to today's. It is up big, and, because it is up big, it's likely going to be on a lot of people's radars. So I'm going to keep SNSE in focus. It's a bit more expensive of a name, $27, $30. So sizing in here, it could be a bit of a, tougher thing for those with smaller accounts. So those are the 8 that I'm keeping my eye on, OB. MLEC is halted to the downside. It is losing the bid. It is losing it in a hurry. It is halted down at 14.59. It is bleeding its own blood with a topping tail candle that probably, sadly, lured in a lot of people. Look at this. Below VWAP, rocket above VWAP, clearing it by like 60 pennies, drop back down, halt. So that is part and parcel of trading these small cap. Gappers are around for a good time, not a long time, and they'll break your heart, so don't fall in love, baby.
Yes, sir. So I did get a little bit involved here on the hood. And yeah, a bit of a break of that aggressive trend that we were getting. The market's also taking a bit of a turn here as well. But so you can see, I didn't get involved where ideally I should be involved here on the initial trend break and maybe on failure to follow through of this prior high breakout as well. Maybe the break of this structure. There's so many places that this short idea can be executed on. But I was just like, all right, cool. I'm a little bit late to the party. But why not just take a structure break of that 77 or looking at this trend going into that 77 as the market also turns back in. You can see here on the Nasdaq, maybe it's not the first one, but it's starting off a little bit here with about 11 minutes left as a bit of a red candle here, just above 25.50 or 25.100 is where we're testing right now. But hood pulling back into VWAP. Another name that I was involved in earlier was Palantir. Palantir here. I did take some scalps off of this thing earlier, and on the initial break of that trend there, 140s was nice. This was a nice aggressive opening, not really opening drive, but opening range break that happened into 137s, and then 138s held up really well as well. And it was aggressively strong. Sure, the market was bidding up as well, but you didn't see a lot of this kind of strength across the board. Palantir was one of the names that kept on kind of going, held that 140, but when that 140 half pulled back in, I was like, all right, cool, I want to take a stab at this. Quick little scalps here. Didn't really get involved for the second or third lower high here, but it seems like we are doing a bit of a lower high, bouncy ball, whatever you want to call it, back towards this VWAP flat bottom potentially on here at 139. Let's see if that'll potentially come in here. Hood, wow, definitely could be taking a lot more here, but we'll wait and see. We'll see if the market reverts as well. Maybe this does get back below VWAP at the same time. But yeah, if you're taking it on the initial push here, which if I'm sitting at my desk, I was talking to Neil about this as well. I was like, I should be short hood right now, and it was kind of right here in the 78, 77, 80s. It did come right back up. Maybe it would have stopped me up, but guess what? Never broke that high of day. When it finally does break down this 77 halves right here, you can see strong hold here for about 1050 all the way to about 1110, so about a 20-minute hold after a trend both ways. You can see never does it really hold a level for too long. It's either trending up or trending down, but you can see here just knocking on the door of that 77.40, and when that bid finally lets off, okay, cool. We're coming right back into VWAP. Market tailwind definitely helping us out at the same time as well. It seems like Palantir taking that similar kind of route, but much further away from VWAP as of right now. Will I get involved? Will I not? I have no idea, but you guys let me know where you're looking in this here market. A lot of things happening. Aggressive bid. I want to know if you guys participated in the long. That's interesting right here.
What?
Yeah,
I noticed that Grok's not on there.
Well, yeah, Grok's not on there, but
broke my heart a little
interesting
bit.
that people are using Claude the least. And GPT makes sense. I still use GPT as well, but Claude people using the least. Gemini's up there as well, but it's interesting, with the whole Open Claw it's called now. They've changed names a few times.
Yes.
From Claudebot
yeah, exactly.
to
wasn't it called Maltbot or something?
Maltbot, and then Clawbot, and now Open Claw. Fun stuff for sure.
Yeah.
I was talking to Joe about this yesterday, and I was like, have you dabbled in any of the agentic AIs and any of the agents yet? Have you?
I personally haven't, no.
Okay.
But I do want to set up a remote, what do they call it? Open Claw, sorry.
Yeah.
I want to run it on Cloudflare, and I want to train it
Yeah.
on some of the stuff that I do for my morning routines.
Yeah.
And I want to observe to see how efficient and accurate it is, or if it's not.
It's all going to be about prompting, right? It's all going to be about prompting.
Yeah.
In this day and age, the people who are going to, if you're looking for careers, it's basically going to be, do you know how to prompt effectively, right? And if you don't, then
there's a bunch of courses that teach you how to prompt.
Yeah, of course. I mean, people who are putting in the time to kind of get to know this this new market will definitely benefit. And I've had talks with a bunch of friends about this. Like this era is kind of just like when computers became a thing. Those who could adapt, were much better off.
Yep.
Than those who could not, and it's just more of the same now, and it is new technology. It's fairly fresh, and it's moving at an exponential speed.
It is,
right?
And miss it out at your own peril.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Are you going to have the required skills to be employable if you're not really doing any of this stuff? Anyway,
exactly.
Besides the point, guys, Adam is coming back down into the 10 EMA, and I'm looking at getting more. Okay, so we have one out left, and I want to get a little bit more over here. So I'm actually waiting at 41. So it should be giving it to me soon. I'm not going to wait. There we go. We got it. Now it's the move. What if it loses the bid here? So I got 38s. It's losing the bid quite aggressively. If it loses the $0.25, I'm out. Let's go ahead and just, it's already lost the $0.25. That's pretty aggressive. So we'll give back some there. That sucks. It doesn't hold up at all at the breakout spot. So let's watch here. Does it catch a bit of a bid? Was that, just a squeeze down, a liquidity grab down? I'm going to continue to watch. Let's see if it can work its way back above 30 in a hurry. It is. It's moving its way back above 30 in a hurry. Let's see if we catch a bit of a bid, or is this just short covering? Continuing to watch here, zigging and zagging with a third to $0.25. Still below that third of a dollar though. ATOM, it's not up big on the day, but it's been good to me lately, and that flat top break was a good one. So let's see exactly what we get over here. I have other things to say. I want to talk about RCAT. Shout out to Amir, and thank you for pointing out RCAT. That is doing a nice little pattern as well. All right, continuing to watch Atom as it zigs and zags here with the $0.25. Let me give you some levels. Current bar low on Atom, 19s, okay? That is current bar low. We're going to get in. It's not giving it. There we go. And then now let's give it to, current bar low. Give me 1 sec to set up over here and see if we can catch a bit of a bid there. So we got 25s on. Let's see if we can get something in the 30s, and then if we can get a nice price spike up, we'll see what we can do. But I want to talk about RCAT because RCAT is also presenting some opportunities. Again, much like Atom, it's not big up. It's not up big on the day. It was doing a good amount of volume to start, 140, 150,000 shares per 5-minute candle. Now it's dropped off a little bit. I want to say about 50,000, and while the prior bar did like 16, 17. So it really is dropping off. But what I did like about this is the kind of the curling pattern. And holding above the 10 EMA. To me, though, there's been a whole lot of selling just south of that 12.5. It'll have to clear that 12.5 for me to get interested. Otherwise, I think I'm just going to steer clear of this one. Fluffsters pointing out what I was seeing as well. She loves FJet, and then more in agreement with her I could not be. I'm lamenting not having gotten in at the $0.25 because that's where we were looking at this. In fact, it was just around more around a fifth rather than a quarter. And then it rockets up into 985. It's up 34.5% on the day. It is a good look right now for FJet, and it's just a matter of how I weasel into this one. So ATOM finding a little bit of support now. We're in at 25s. It's showing me 34s. We're going to be looking at making some money back. Oh, we already got the print. What am I saying? We're waiting now at 39s. Okay, pardon me. Let's go ahead and wait a little bit higher over here. I want to wait around that $0.50 to see if we can get something here on FJet. Otherwise, I'll stop out below current bar low. Simple as that. VVPR continues to go, though. Again, very light on volume, but I want to take a gander and see what the spread is like. Light volume or not, it's got a 1 penny spread. Tight spread here, not too bad at all. And trading into the day high, 335. It's showing me 331, 330. So this is not bad. I would be looking at getting some in here at 320 where the 10 EMA on the 5 is. The VVPR has been quite respectful of that trend line on the day, at least on the day. Nary a breach, in fact, no breaches since the reclaim of the level, the 10 EMA on the 5 at 935. So right after that opening bell, 320 would be where I would look to get in. In fact, let's go ahead and do that. And then quite frankly, if it loses 315, we're gonzino. So we're going to risk about, 5 or 6 pennies. Let's go ahead and wait, wait at 320. And, tip true to form, I'm going to front run it by a couple of shekels to make sure I get the fill. And so that's what I'm looking for there, a dip trade in the VVPR. And then also, goes without saying, watching Atom, looking for the crossing here. I'm waiting at 38. It's showing me 38s, but it's not crossing as a result of the 2 penny spread. So we won't get the fill until and if it gets right above that level. So we'll pack the patience there. Okay, so now let's talk about RXT, because RXT could be changing its tune here. The tape is picking up. It may be breaking the downtrend. So this one was suffering from many, or the same affliction that many of these suffer from, which is that unbroken downtrend. Always really hard, especially if you're drawing the trend line freehand, to know if it's cleared it. But I want to see a decisive close above this lower trend line here, which we haven't gotten. This is the biggest green candle we've gotten in a while here on RXT, and it's doing volume, bro. It's got 867,000 shares here. On average, it's doing about 1 million shares per 5-minute candle. That's ample. It's taking out the level. RXT could be on the way into that 145 high of day. There's that 137 print. Good strength here on RXT. Is this a false breakout? Are they just trapping the longs? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to get in here and we're going to give it the current bar low. Current bar low is a 10 penny risk. So we're going to go just like that. and we'll give it a little bit of room. We got in at 38s, which is not good. We'll put at 42s, just below high day. There's a seller here at 49 of note that we can't shake, so be on the lookout there. Monster seller at 39. Look at the tape. The tape is just printing, and nothing is coming off the gateway. In fact, you can make the argument more shares are coming on the gateway than are being taken off, despite the umpteen amount of print. So we'll see how this one does, but it does look like a decent breakout. Maybe look to add on the dips into 30. I'm going to keep my eye out on that one. How's the other one doing over here? Adam, we're still going printless below 38. It keeps hanging around at 38, right back into 38. No new prints, no new prints. So we'll pack the patience there, and we'll pack the patience on RXT. Looking for that continuation, Ob, into 145. And then if we clear that, I'm looking for 150.
Yes, sir. Yeah, no, definitely got to continue looking for the next trade here. I'm still watching this hood. We got down to VWAP here, and nothing too crazy, Sharif. Since then, we've just been kind of consolidating, not really doing anything too much. So I'm just being patient, waiting for any sort of information to kind of give me the next move there. If we kind of break down, the market still holding near that 25,100 as of right now. So watching that one closely as well. So I want to know in the chat, what are you guys up to? RXT hit $1.40. What was that one from yesterday that we were watching? It was about $1. It was kind of knocking on the door of $1, and then finally later on it moved past $1. I think, was it GLO maybe?
I don't remember, brother.
GOL, something like that. I'm trying to remember. Remind me in the chat if you guys know what I'm talking about. It was like $1. It was $1 stock. It was a small cap, right?
Yeah.
Was it, let me check if it was GLO here. No, it was not GLO. OJB, maybe? Is that what
possibly
Rock Doc's saying? OJB? I don't think it was OJB. No, that's not what it was here. But yeah, no, I'll keep on. Let me make it the live chat so I can see what everybody's saying here. OLB, maybe? Yeah, OLB. Yes. Yeah, that was the one here, Sharif. Did you participate in this one at all?
Let me have a look. You know how I'll know, Ob, the price action? I forget the names of the tickers. Yes, I do have trend lines drawn over here. Yes, I did.
Nice. Yeah, no, this one was crazy because I was talking about this while I was here on the midday for the first hour, and I was like, yeah, this had only spent like 20 minutes above $1, and it was struggling to get above $1.
Yeah.
What I really liked though was that it was holding VWAP and making higher lows. That bit of a compression that was happening here underneath this pre-market high, and I was like, yeah, if this holds up really well, this has a potential of going. Sure, the probabilities could change with every kind of tick, every candle that's being drawn, but you can see here the push past that $1. Once we finally get past that dollar mark, we almost never look back. We continue to push. $1.30 all the way to 178. So yeah, I was definitely watching this one going into the end of the day, bit of a flush and a pullback back into that dollar level in the after hours as well as the pre-market session. Just still, as of right now, still holding that dollar level, 90 pennies on the day lows, but not as crazy of price action that we were seeing yesterday, right? Last trading session. So
I have a very important question for you.
What's up?
Vis-a-vis Gavin Ross. What everybody wants to know.
Okay.
Did you trade OBAI?
Oh, I heard about that one. I don't know if I traded OBAI yesterday.
Come on,
Ob.
Come on,
look at that one. Straight to the downside. TG17.
Got your name all over it, literally and figuratively too, you know.
So right here, all the way, wow, look at this one, man. What is the float on this one? I want to take a quick look at this. 1.7 million, almost 1.8 million shares float on this one here. So interesting stuff. Kind of flushed all the way down and pulled into the day's lows and pretty much closed in and around there as well, and not really doing too much. So it seems like the force is definitely not with this one today. Definitely was yesterday to the short side too. So.
It's like Bovin trading BHVN. Yes, Mike, exactly. But I want to say something. There goes Adam right back up. We got 25s. There's 52s. There's the ad. So we had to give back a little bit on that initial trade. If you're not taking risks, well then what are you doing here, right? So let's go ahead and watch here as Adam dances with the half dollar. Part of it is a part of the price action is above the half dollar, part of it is below, 52 on the ask, 42 on the bid. Let's see if it can weasel its way above it. There it goes into 56, 59s, 60. You know where we're gonna wait.
Gotta have that patience.
You know where I'm waiting, Obi.
Yes.
We're waiting at 69, showing 59,
Nice.
60, looking for the continuation again, zigging and zagging here above the half dollar. The Assassino telling me there is 20 Norwegian kroners. Thank you very much for the super chat. Ori, UWU, oh, U versus U. Okay, so that's ORI. Let's take a look at it there. ORI, yeah, but that's bleeding. That's bleeding pretty bad, man. Let's take a look at ORI. It's no good. You know, I was thinking about doing the introduction into the midday show today in Mandarin.
Really?
I was actually quite close to doing it. There was one thing that I wasn't sure about, so I chose not to do it, but I promise you, it's going to be done this week.
Okay.
I'm going to do the
All right.
entire opening segment in Mandarin.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
You know, if you guys don't know, Sharif has been practicing. He's been on that Duolingo.
Oh, and everybody in the back office, anybody who I suspect speaks Mandarin, will have to hear from me. I'm telling you, bro, it's hilarious.
Nice.
Anyway, we're having a good time. ORI. I'm being asked here about ORI, and it doesn't look very good over here. It definitely gapped up yesterday, bleeding its own blood today. It looks like that closing print, 42.56 down to 41.80. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see about that. But, guys, I'm involved in a couple of names. Adam looks like it wants to take out 675. It's got the higher lows working for it. And then we're also involved in RXT. This one's been a lot harder. It's showing me a good chart pattern, but the shorts are quite convicted here. You have selling literally at every penny. It is some trouble. So be careful with RXT. I'm keeping a close eye on this one. I'm kind of unsure about it. And yeah, Gong Hei Fa Choi, yeah, thank you. That means Happy New Year. Shout out to Yummy Thai Foods. Appreciate you there, brother. But we don't want to keep Adara waiting with the crypto segment.
What I'm going to talk about here is Bitcoin. There really isn't that much to say. Like, we're still pretty choppy here. We had, of course, that low made on February 6th. That was a Friday where we got just below 60,000. Since then, on the daily chart, we've had some lower highs. And as of right now, potentially higher lows. So a bit of a flag action. But again, nothing really resulting from that flag as of right now. So now that we've gone over the technicals, I want to share a really interesting crypto catalyst for you guys. There is a U.S. cryptocurrency lending business by the name of Milo. And what they do is they specialize in crypto-backed mortgages. And guys, they announced that they have originated over $100 million worth of home loans as of today. Now, it's worth noting, like, over 10% of that comes from a $12 million crypto mortgage, which is their largest transaction to date. But either way, interesting stuff here for Milo. So maybe we'll get more crypto-backed mortgages in the future. But either way, one company certainly with an interesting milestone to be aware of. BTC, as mentioned, just chopping here. Let's take a look at Ethereum on the daily chart, which as of late has been mirroring Bitcoin. And again, we do see that mirroring Bitcoin once again here as well. Right now, Ethereum below that 2,000 mark, trading around 1970. Back to you.
So there was misspelled. Ori was misspelled, but look at sounds. Long since December. Do you want to look at sound for the OG there?
Sure, yeah, let's take a look at some sound here. This one I was trading a little bit more. I think, this was one of Nvidia's holdings at one point, perhaps, right?
Yeah, I think they're
out. And then are they still, or I think they let them go, right?
They're out.
They sold them, I'm pretty sure, but correct me if I'm wrong on that one there. But yeah, strong push off of the open. Wow, kind of maybe in line with the rest of the market here. Let's see where that bid finally kind of steps off. That's around 10.06. See where that is, around 11.15. Okay, maybe a little bit earlier than the rest of the market here. Not really doing a lot of relative volume either, but I do like that maybe, if you are kind of watching this one for whatever reason, the break of prior day's highs and the opening range high break right here is looking quite nice. You can see the opening range high. I have this on a 3-minute. It was all the way down here at 737, pulls back into it, holds VWAP. What is that low on that candle? Goes to a low of 735. So only about a couple pennies below that opening range high. The bid steps in. So that breakout was pretty clean here. If you wanted to take this one as well, that was pretty clean. What is that high there? 38. 38s? No, 42s, the answer to the universe right there.
Oh.
And that was definitely the answer to the long this morning. There are 742s pushing all the way to 764s here, back into some of the ranges from Friday here. But yeah, I guess decent look if you were watching, and there's no reason why I would be watching this one. Not really doing relative volume, doesn't necessarily have a catalyst unless I don't know something here. 2 days ago, maybe it showed up in a couple of articles here. 6 days ago, Soundhound's 140 billion total addressable market. How much is reachable? And that's a post by Zacks. So. Don't really follow those guys too closely. But let's take a look at what else is moving and what else is in play today. GLBE was something that I was watching, and it's had earnings. That's the reason why I was watching it. It was doing about 150,000 on the initial candles there, when it comes to relative volume. So definitely doing above normal volume, coming in off of the open, strong flush, but since then, just chopping sideways, so nothing crazy happening on this one. PANW, we already talked about. Another one was SEDG, Solar Edge. And there was definitely some edge in this one today. If you took the pre-market low break, if you took this consolidation break as well, pre-market low break came in pretty decently. 37 breakdown. Sure, you got to hold through some chop, but when it does come in and follow through that opening range low at 36s, comes in quite cleanly back into some previous levels here. I don't know where this anchored VWAP is coming from, but let's follow it a little bit back and see where that is anchored to. Okay, so yeah, once you go up on a higher time frame, it kind of corrects itself right there. That's the thing. That's the thing with this platform. Sometimes where that's all the way back there. So that not really coming into effect as of today. So dismiss that line on the chart as of right now. So not really doing anything. But in terms of horizontal support and resistance, take a look at where it does find some sort of relief. Is in yesterday's day low as well as prior week's low right here, coming in at 33 halves, 34s. You can see a strong flush all the way from 42s in the pre-market, opens at 40s clean, and then flushing about $6 to the downside here. Jeez. Since then, volume has been kind of decreasing pretty aggressively and a sideways chop, but this was the opening drive trade here and a slow, steady flush. And I don't know if this thing is SSR as of right now, but let's take a quick look at SEDG and see if it does fulfill the SSR mechanic right now. SEDG. That's on the Nasdaq. So we'll go back to the Nasdaq right here. It is not SSR. So yeah, that makes some sense. See, prior day's close was 37.20s. Okay, so it's only about 8% down. So close, but not there just yet. On SEDG, it's actually catching a bit of a curl here as well. Market doesn't seem like it wants to pull back. That was the first red 15-minute candle since when is this? Since about 9:15, I guess, 9:30 actually, 9:30. We caught that bid from 9:30. First red candle happening here at 11:15, but not really following through for the backside. So got to be more patient. Sometimes you just got to be patient. Sometimes you know the setup is potentially coming.
Yes,
you just got to be patient for that backside if it even comes in here. But Robinhood,
what is it doing?
Definitely backside in the hood here.
I know you like the backside.
When it's coming into prior day's high though. That's one of my issues here. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about. Okay. Prior day's highs right here, strong chop. You can see aggressive flush last week. You can see right here, I already marked out this consolidation that we had going into the end of Thursday, coming into Friday, aggressive bid. So that support did hold pretty well on the next day after a strong flush. This was a flush of about 10% roughly, I guess,
So stupid.
Pretty aggressive, and then now sideways chop here. Bid coming right back in all the way up to 78s. But now you can see what I mean right here. It is holding that prior day high as of right now, and that is confluenced with a little bit of VWAP right here. You can see the VWAP on this chart coming in a little bit closer, and that's the P8 VWAP, and I guess this platform here, the VWAP's coming in at 76 halves. So different data points there. I think this one only has the BATS data, which is most of the time it's pretty decent, but we got all of the data.
You got all the data.
Got all the data.
I'm in the waiting room now. I'm trying to get tickets for Tame Impala.
What is that?
Yeah, it's a band.
Okay.
They're Australian. I know. It's okay. It's okay. We don't have to be mean.
Okay.
Calm down, Ram, and Sia ganging up on.
Don't make me start asking you guys questions about the market, okay?
Okay. All right. What? Neil's like,
Get it, OB.
oh my God. All right. Good luck. Yeah, they're coming to Toronto, bro. They're coming. I'm just trying to look at where the date is.
I mean, that's cool.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not
July
gonna know
25th, Scotiabank Korea. It's one of my favorite bands. They're Australian.
Cool.
Obi, remember what I was saying about RXT? Give me my money, man. Give me my money. Let's go. RXT taking out highs. We're holding RXT. We're holding FJet. We're holding Atom. And guess what? They're all in the money. We're looking now for a move above that $0.50 on RXT. It is a 150 high. We just went to beat twice at 48. So we're looking for a little bit more. Now we're going to go up into that 158 area. So we want a decisive clearing of the 158. I am a little concerned with Atom, though. It does feel like it's finding a bit of a top at 60 pennies. How many shares do I have left of Atom? I just got into VVPR. More on that in a second. Atom looking, okay, we're fine with that one. Let's go to FJet. Several outs on FJet so far. We have 37.25 cost. It's showing me 56s. We're looking for a move in the 69. The high of the day is 85. There's 57 showing up again. So trying to pack the patience here on FJet. Somebody, I think it was Hangry Wife, and somebody else in the chat was asking me, Sharif, why are you in FJet? Isn't this a short now? I said, guys, we just touched the 10 EMA on the 5 for the first time like in an hour. Why is it a short, right? So, maybe it is a short, but for me, it's a short below the volume weighted average price at 875. That's a different story. There goes RXT into another area high. It is $1.54. We're waiting at 58, so we're not going to get the print there. Aggressive selling at 53. Can't shake the seller despite the fact we were just at 54s. Be on the lookout now for a reversion. We know that $0.50 and the whole dollar are areas of psychological resistance and support. It's obviously used by both sellers and buyers, so watch out here. Look for continuation, right? But also look for the dip below 50 and then a quick price spike up back above 50. That seems to be kind of, this is kind of their modus operandi. There's 54 again, looking for to see if we can print 55s, not immediately apparent if we can. All right, let's talk about VVPR, because I got in here, what'd I get? I got 21s, and I don't like it. I'm out. And the reason I say that is because it broke trend. So to me, an entry on VVPR is no longer valid at that level. It's more valid at 310 to 305. We'll see. And maybe I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, that's fine. I'll live with the consequences of that. FJet continuing to go up. We got 37s. There's 70 showing up. We're waiting for that 69 to cross. It's showing me 70, but the spread is what it is, so we're not going to get the print unless it moves up a little bit more. Good look here on FJET. This is an Amex stock, by the way, so by default, it's under suspicion. Until, we see a little bit more and see how this one is trading on the day. I'm not going to wait because I feel like this one is going to leave without me, so we'll take it there at 67s, and then we'll move up the next order into 88. So we're looking for continuation here on FJet. We're looking for it on Atom, and we're looking for it on RXT. We'll see what these guys do. But so far, not a bad day so far. 444 to start the day. Super. Yeah. Thank you. Shout out to the OG Darwin. Appreciate you, brother. Frederick, $5 super chat. Thank you very much, Fred. Or Frederick. Some people don't like to be called that. Good morning, gents. HYMC is looking like it quit school all because of recess. It ain't playing no games today. Why are you saying that? That's funny. Let's look at HYMC for the OG. I'm just trying to make sure my positions are all kosher before I start doing all this whole thing over here. HYMC.
You're looking up HYMC.
HYMC, yeah. Let's take a quick look. Okay, this is very nice. This is very, very nice.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
How come I don't have eyes on this? What's wrong with me?
What's going
I
on?
see it there, so it's my mistake. I should have had that on there. We're taking off SNSE and we're putting HYMC. Thank you very much for this.
Boom.
This is a fantastic looking name.
Whoa.
It's very directional and very respectful, Obi, especially.
Mining.
Yeah, well, there you go. You never really know.
Stocks running like that?
Things surprise you. HYMC looks fantastic. Immediately apparent to me is the respect that it has for the 10 EMA on the 5. You get the first little glance there at 10.10, rockets up. You get another little glance there at 11.15, rockets up. Now, I'm not going to say that it's going to do it every time, but, you know, you're trying to put the odds on your side here as an intraday trader. I think that, you know, looking at what has been very, very clearly working on the day does help, you know, put some odds on your side there. So we're going to be looking for that 41.25 to 41.5 to come in. That's about 50 to 75 pennies away from where we are right now. That comes in, I'm interested. If it doesn't, I don't feel like, you know, punching in at highs, but this is a fantastic one, Fred, and thank you very much for pointing it out. And then I heard there's another super from JKL XK8BW. Okay. $10 super chat. Looking for a short on Palantir in day today. What are your thoughts, boys? Thanks as always. Thank you very much, and thank you for the kind words. I'm going to have to pass that off to the guy who actually trades that kind of name. It ain't me, baby.
Yeah, no, honestly, I've been watching. So I did take a short in Palantir earlier this morning when I was just like, okay, well, you know, this is an aggressive bid, and you know, some of my buddies were definitely in the long here. So shout out to them for smashing that long there all the way up into 140s. And I had close eyes on it, as well as the rest of the market, as well as a few other stocks as well, like Hood. But when we got that aggressive selling and it looked distinctly different, and I was just like, okay, cool, I'm going to scalp this out here into 140, take some inventory into and through 140. That was the idea. Okay. I did add a little bit here incrementally as we got lower, but again, it started changing a little bit. The bid started stepping up, and I was like, I just got to go with the flow. I'm not really going to give it more than I really want to, and took roughly a break even on that one. Nothing too crazy. I didn't necessarily hold enough here from that 140 all the way down to 139s and some change. But you can see here lower highs, lower lows, kind of holding this flat, potentially flat bottom here on top of 139, and kind of doing that. I mentioned earlier a little bit of a bouncy ball here with some lower highs, flat bottom. So yeah, if that line can break, then maybe we could have some more selling. I have no idea, but you can see that the lower highs do indicate that the buyers are definitely struggling to keep this one up on the day today. The buyers were definitely winning in the morning. But as of right now, that buying has definitely dissipated with some significance. You can see here the swipes off of the opening range break. 136 has got you all the way to 139s. A little bit of a pullback. Couldn't even, I thought about, honestly, Sharif, I thought about shorting it right here, 138.80s, as soon as that bid left. But I was like, no, not yet. The market is still strong. Right? So glad I didn't make that decision here, because it continued to hold a higher low, stepped up once again. Look at this structure hold. That prior high holds on the pullback of this lower high here as well. This did not happen here, where you kind of flush right through these prior highs, flushes back down to 140s, and then you can see that I have a little bit of confidence to take that potentially for some lower levels, and that did come in and follow through. But you can see I didn't necessarily want to hold for this chop. But if I stayed aggressive and I stayed involved, same place where I was like, okay, I feel comfortable getting short here. It came once again, and it came another time here with a lower high. So the risk becoming tighter. Sure, if you want to slap it here and be like, okay, what is real risk? Probably all the way up to 141s, but I'm not giving it that on this entry. I'm being like, okay, this is slamming down into the bid. This better go right away, and if it doesn't, I don't want to stay involved. Right? But here it's a little bit different, because here now we're kind of, you know, we talk about active versus passive participation. This was very active selling, but you can see here this is more you know, methodical. It's kind of, you know, there's more ebbs and flows to the price action here as it makes that lower high and kind of flat lows. You can also argue that we are making lower lows as well, just by a hair. This one was 139.30s. This is 139.20s. This area here, 139.05s with a wick low at 139. We're coming into that 139 as of right now, as we're speaking as well. And VWAP not too far away. VWAP's right here, and there it goes, breaking through that 139. So now the question that I would ask is that, are we breaking with any sort of significant volume? Now I'm going to pull up a shorter time frame chart here on the side for me and see if there's actual volume that's really ramping up on this. Here, I want that chart, not this chart. Okay, and there was some volume on that break, so that gives me a little bit of confluence for that flush, and there goes the flush right there. So I didn't necessarily take it. We talked through it, and there it is. 139 breakdown as of right now gives you about 20 pennies without looking back at all, Sharif. So
yes.
Seems like the short was nice.
I just went to get my credit card so that I could, because there's 6 minutes left.
Oh boy.
For the thing. I'm very excited about this whole thing. But you know what? Oh, I got something to say.
Let me know.
There goes Adam into $7. I got 99s on this monster. It immediately retraced down though. Watch out now. Let's watch. You like that one though, eh? Do you like Tame Impala?
You know who's opening?
Who?
Joe, the DJO.
Oh, nice.
The guy that,
I don't know who that is.
He's the Steve Harrington.
Steve Harrington.
In Stranger Things.
In Stranger Things. Very cool. 5 minutes left, Fabian. I'm quite excited about this whole thing. We got the credit card. We're ready to go. All right, don't zoom in on the credit card, SSC. You know, you never really know, right? So, I'm just kidding. All right, we're having a good time. All right, 5 more minutes. I'm in the lobby right now on the Ticketmaster website. Hopefully, I don't get rinsed on some prices over here. But there goes RXT into another high day. It's showing 55s. Your boy's waiting at 58s. There is selling at almost every level. There it is, 57. One more. Let's go, RXT. Let's go, bro. You know what? We're going to... Oh, come on. Come on, RXT. No, we're not taking it out here. Look, if it reverts on me, it reverts on me. We got 38s. I want 58s here on a dollar name. It's up 270%. It's hat selling at every penny. Let's see if we can take out some of those sellers. Showing 56s again. We can't shake the seller at 56. There's 57, and that's the end of the trade for me into 57 there. Happy with the trade. Looking to do some more damage, though. How am I going to do more damage? I like that 145. I want to say high 140s for a possible entry in and around there. We're going to pack the patience. We're going to see if it comes in to that level. Oh, that's what I need to do. I need to put that screen on all the windows so that it shows up everywhere. Hangry Wife, thank you. I appreciate you, Hangry Wife. We'll see if I get good tickets or not. Not like I've really bought concert tickets from Ticketmaster before. Typically, I just get them from resale. So I don't know how this whole song and dance works, but we'll try to do it here. I was saying RXT, says DJ 2AM. Yeah, brother, I'm all up in RXT's business, as you could just see there. We took out, the high of the day into 57, but it does look like it has more in the tank. This one could be a $2 toucher. Sounds like you might end up locked up if you do that. But no, seriously, this one could make a move into 2. Right, 157, it's got 265% under its wings. If it can really squeeze some shorts here and hold above the $0.50, I think we could have a good move here. We'll have to wait and see. We'll pack the patience, and we'll see what we can get there. Adam, again, I know I see it, brother. Adam is making another move here. It pulled back in for a couple of 1-minute candles, and now the 1-minute chart is showing higher lows and higher highs as it makes a move back into the high 680s. I don't know what my move is going to be on Adam at these levels. I didn't have a plan here for the retracement back into 7. I had a bit of a bias, bless you, Ram, that this was going to move down into 660, 650. I was wrong, and as a result, I'm planless here about what to do here with Adam into that mid-690s. Now it looks like it's on its way right back into 7. So we'll pack the patience over here. We got about a few more minutes until we send you to Happening Now and Neil's Lesson of the Day, and then that will be the exact time that I will be able to get said tickets over here, Obi. So I'm quite excited about this whole thing.
No, that's solid, man. Okay, so I was searching up some different mining stocks because we talked about HYMC and other miners kind of potentially running here, and mining is an index here, so potential indicator here. So funny how they named this mining stocks. digging for profit. Interesting. I want to know what the constituents of this index is here, but this is about 9:30. This is a 3-minute chart. I know it's a line chart, and I think they only allow lines on this one, kind of like the Wilshire. Wilshire? Is that
yeah.
I think
Used to be an
the Wilshire
Arsenal player called
5000.
Jack Wilshere.
Here we go.
Say Wilshire.
Yeah, so Wilshire 5000 index, again, it's not really give it to me on the 3-minute. Is it going to give it to us on the daily? Potentially here. Yeah, there's shorter time frames that this thing doesn't necessarily follow, but this is not all 5,000, but 5,000 a stock index here. So yeah, indices are interesting to look at, interesting indicators here, but you can see here mining stocks definitely to the upside, very strong here, maybe taking a little bit of a pullback. Market's also pulling back, but HYMC is something that I'm keeping my eyes on because it is a little bit overextended, but if it's going to be a sector move, I got to figure out what the news potentially is here. You can see here when I just searched up mining, and there's Cipher mining, there's Helica mining, there's CDE, which is Coeur mining, and HYMC right there as well. So just taking a look at some of these, some of them are showing some strength, some of them are not. You can see here Cipher mining. I know a lot of people talk about this one, holding above VWAP, holding its the upper quartile of its price action as well. But HYMC, Sharif, seems like it is the strongest one. So I don't know if this one specifically has news, but guess what? It definitely has a little bit of relative volume here on the day, 1.4, and here you go. Hycroft completes updated Hycroft mine initial assessment and TRS effective January, and I guess that January 21st of 2026. That came out 5 hours ago. Board member departure was on February 6th. But let's take a quick look at this. If there's anything here that's interesting. Drilling through March 17th, but this seems like old kind of news here. They're just reiterating some of the stuff that they've done. And I guess what is this saying here? The original SEC filing, they filed an 8K on February 18th. So yeah, relatively fresh. So this is what they did on Jan 21st, I guess. So. Interesting stuff. Definitely doing some volume and holding the highs there. So it's probably not going to be, in line with the market. It's probably doing its own thing, but I don't know what is going on. So I'm going to keep my patience here and just wait to see if there's any sort of pullback or for any sort of a significant change in behavior. And I'm still waiting for the same here on Hood, and Hood got through that 77. I did not add here on this VWAP at 76.80s, but that was a great place to start engaging a little bit more for that continuation. And from those 76.70s or 80s, Sharif, we got all the way down to 76.20s, and I did start to cover a little bit there on that 76.20s, just taking off just shy of a dollar. I don't know how much in terms of percentage of ATR that is, but let's take a quick look, because that's what I like to kind of talk in. You can talk about like pennies or dollars, but at the end of the day, $1 on a $100 stock versus a $50 stock versus a $10 stock means totally different things, right? So when it comes to the ATR on Hood, let's take a quick look at what that is as of right now. It is, let's see here, ATR. Where am I looking? Okay, hold on. I gotta. You know what? Well, I'll get back to you with the ATR.
I want to show you guys
after we're back.
Is this a lot, guys? The fact that there's 6,574 people ahead of me. I'm not talking about Taylor Swift levels, but is this typically a lot of people ahead of you? Like, am I out of luck for good tickets, or what's the situation over here? So
there's a way to skip the queue.
There's a way to skip the queue?
How do you skip the queue?
You just gotta go into the code and just remove.
In the URL?
You remove the buffer.
You're kidding.
I think, but like Ticketmaster would have definitely patched that for sure.
You never know, man.
It's hard because this is a terminal based, it's client based.
He's saying that we can bypass the lineup by changing a part of the script in the URL. I don't know. I don't want to. I'll copy and paste the URL in another browser and then mess with it. But I don't.
Ticketmaster makes way too much money to have that loophole in my opinion.
Oh man. All right. Okay. So, in any event, we are going to have to take a pause. First of all, we want to let you know that there's a lot of people working, guys. We've got construction. Again, as you know, we're creating a new podcast room in the back. The construction is not done here, so we really do appreciate your patience and your understanding about the noise in the background. And also, Sean is filming. Neil was filming earlier. We're doing it live for the campus program, so just want to thank you guys for your patience and your understanding. And with that, we're going to send you to Adair with Happening Now, and then Neil has his lesson of the day.
Time to take a look at what's happening now and what's going to be happening later today, because I think one of the biggest things that's kind of been on the market's mind, for lack of a better term, is that 2 p.m. FOMC minute release. Now, this is going to give us a sense of how the 19 members of the Fed, which also, of course, include the 12 Fed voting members, felt about that FOMC decision to hold rates. Now, we already know there were 2 dissenting votes, so it'll be interesting to get a sense of what the consensus was at that meeting. Now, an hour before that, at 1 p.m. Eastern, we're going to hear from U.S. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. She'll be holding a press briefing. Says it's going to start at 1 p.m. They usually start a little closer to 1:10 or 1:20, though she's not late to the extent that U.S. President Trump often is, so we can expect roughly 1 p.m. Speaking of Trump, he is, I saw at least on his calendar, though I'm not seeing it on this calendar I'm seeing now, we might get a Trump appearance around 3 p.m. today. We're going to wait and see if that is in fact a thing. If I get more updates, I'll keep you posted. But either way here, certainly some events on watch heading into the afternoon. I want to talk about SNAP because Snap just snapped to the upside, to use a pun Obi already used. Right at 11 a.m., we have Bloomberg reporting that the company's revenue business reaching $1 billion in annualized revenue run rate, with their subscription community surpassing 25 million users. Now, let's look into the future, because tonight after the bell, we have not 1, not 2, but 3 pretty significant earnings, and I do have earnings preview infographics for all of them. They're either out in the case of 2 of them, and the third is coming out in the next couple hours. But let's start with Carvana. We do have an infographic here on this for the earnings preview. We also have one for DoorDash out as well. But Carvana here, this visual, which I posted a little bit earlier today, shows the growth year in the retail units sold and the overall retail units sold per quarter. Now, as you can see, this has been expanding on a sequential basis and pretty nicely on a year-over-year basis for the last couple quarters. Let's see if CVNA can continue that growth, because their stock has not really grown to the same degree since joining the S&P 500 at the end of last year. Lots to keep an eye on. That's why I'm here with you guys behind this desk. Any and all updates I will keep you posted for. But in the meantime, Neil is going to keep you posted with lessons and knowledge. Always important, always exciting. Neil, what's today's lesson?
Thank you, Dara. To trade or not to trade? That is the question. The stock comes to your key level, the price that you had in your plan of action. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you make that trade? Context matters. Sometimes you can have a situation where you get a retracement or you get a second chance at a price that was on your list. It could be a breakout, it could be a dip into support, but it looks a little bit different, and there are reasons not to take it. Now, I'm going to start with the other, because one of the reasons why I'm doing this lesson is because I'm no longer in ONDS, and I probably should be, because this was an example of a stock that, hey, big run yesterday, break out a local high, we're looking for some continuation and be able to try to fill in some of this gap. So when I'm in it early, simple break of the pre-market high, open range break, scalp it, it breaks trend, and I'm out. But it does come right back into the breakout price. Now, why is this a put it in the category of a reload or get back in? Because it's on trend. The theme of what you're looking for here is simply rounded bottom, breakout, fill in that gap. We're still holding that support. We're looking for a long, a pullback into prior high, a pullback into prior breakout, and re-engage with the trade is part of the structure of a breakout long. So there's nothing wrong with that trade. On top of that, you also have the fact that the market is going with the trend. So in the moment that it's pulling back, we still have an upward trending market. If you're looking at the small caps, IWM was looking just as good as well. So everything about it was still setting up for a long. No reason not to be in that trade again. But it's not always going to be true. I'll use the example of IBIT. Bitcoin, early, tried to break this lower high. We shorted it on the first 15-minute candle to the low. It came back. It retested the same support. It got into yesterday's low. But look at the difference when it comes back into this price. At this point, we're now looking at 10 o'clock, which remember what I just showed you with the futures. You were upward trending in the market. You have held this double bottom from the prior day, right? Like you bounce off the lows, you snap back up, and don't find any lower high resistance. As a matter of fact, we clean break through that resistance level. There was never any like check up or slow down. We just blast through it. Is the short look like a reload there? Well, take stock. That is a pullback into resistance, but it didn't put up much resistance. And when it tried to, what was the market doing? Blasting to the upside. At this point, I've got to think about the opening range trade. That first 30 minutes of the market has set a range, and now it's trying to break out. So it's starting to join the market in a breakout. I don't want to jump back into an automatic short there. Context matters. Is it the level that worked before? Is it the level that I liked? Yes. Does it look the same, or are there reasons to jump back in? Maybe, but there's a lot of reasons to stay away from it, at least until it looks like a short, which probably would have been at this high, but I missed it. It is what it is. That's going to be part of the game. But you have to have that mentality in your trading, and I'll use one more that I didn't even get into, and I'll go to the 3-minute chart, because this is where FOMO can be a bit of an issue. I liked Intel short, and I wanted to try to play into this off of VWAP, like right away. Like it was trending down. Every time this is trending down off the volume weighted average price, like I'm sort of thinking short. And then I remember this is where it was rejecting yesterday in the morning when I shorted it. But I missed this entire move while obviously looking at iBid in the moment and not catching that first short. When it comes back to that price, here's the test. At this point, what's going on here? This is where it's retesting that prior level, specific candle at about 957. There's the bottom, there's a higher low, there's another higher low. It's holding an uptrend. So this short would be shorting as it's holding the uptrend. Instead, I can't just look at that level. If it's in an uptrend, I have to switch my strategy. Either I don't take the short or I wait for it to break the trend. Simply having a stock that you like in a particular direction, that you like at a particular price is not enough. When it gets there the second time or the third time, the situation might have changed and you have to be able to change with it. Just because support and resistance matters and key price levels are fantastic and a good way to start your plan, you don't want to get married to the notion, especially if the market is doing something opposite or the stock has changed its behavior. So be flexible, be nimble, know that when you set up your plan in the morning, that's based on the charts, and once the market opens up, it is allowed to change its behavior, and you are allowed to adapt your plan accordingly. Sometimes in an uptrend, that pullback into the key level stays on pattern, great, go back into the long. Other times when you get that V-shaped recovery, you're shorting into a continuing uptrend and you don't have an entry outside of a random price that you liked before. So make sure you're adaptable along with the markets, because they are never changing and they don't care that you might have missed that price level earlier. They don't care whether that short worked at that particular price half an hour ago. None of that matters. It's about projecting into the future and being nimble as a part of the plan. And I'll tell you right now, we've got the lunch out. It's already on the plate. I haven't had a bite of this, but it looks very, very tasty. And I can smell the delicious flavor that we got going on here. It's not really not really fajita. It's like the insides of a fajita without any kind of thing to put it in. But it looks delicious. I'm going to enjoy my lunch. You guys enjoy the midday. Go get them, Obi. Go get them, Sharif. Make sure you stay flexible in your trading, guys.
Thank you very much, Neil. Wise words, an excellent lesson as always. I think we've all come to kind of expect that from Neil Roberts. So if you like what you heard, you like what you've been hearing for the past couple of years, you need to join us at noon, because that's when Neil drops. Yes, Neilage. Shout out to the man. We appreciate Neil. Very, very nice look there. I want to get to Cloud King. I see your question, Cloud King, but I want to get to RXT, because RXT is absolutely taking off. It is at that $1.70, so on its way to $1 3/4, 171 high. I was, of the opinion that this could hit $2. I don't think that's beyond the realm of possibility. Despite all that, there's still aggressive selling at almost every level. And you're seeing that right now. Very thick tape, as is normal with these $1 stocks. That is typically the case, okay? Watching here for Adam. Now, an entry for Adam, to me, is in the mid-150s, perhaps, depending on when the price drops, even low 160s. We're going to have to wait, keep an eye here on RXT. Sorry, I was saying Adam. I apologize. I didn't mean Adam. I meant RXT. The one that you're looking at on the screen there. So up 303%. It's done 358.5 million shares on the day. So it's got ample amount of volume. I'm very interested in getting back into this one, but it's got to be at the right level. The levels are as follows. Resistance, price action resistance was very obviously at $1.40. You had multiple topping tail candles on the 5 into that $1.40. You lost it. You dropped back to $1.25, and then all hell broke loose to the high side. Now, that doesn't mean that this is going to be, you know, a guaranteed move back into 140. 155 right now is the 10 EMA on the 5. And I don't want to say it's been very respectful of the 10 EMA on the 5. It's been respectful, but there have been times when it breached it. I'm talking most notably on the 5-minute chart between 11 o'clock and when it regained it at 11:25. It found support at the 20. So let's keep an eye here on what our RXT is going to do. It's going to be on a lot of people's radars now that it's above 300% on the day. Looking real good. Dropping back down aggressively into 60 here. Is that the opportunity to pick some up? I'm going to wait for the mid-50s. Well, I said low 60s, mid-50s. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to get in tiny share size right here so that it gives me the opportunity to DCA. And I will add into the 10 EMA on the 5. For the exact same amount of shares, let's go ahead. I'm going to front run the level like I always do. And we're going to see if we can get something here. So we got 63s. It's showing me 63s. So let's go ahead and post just in case it gets a price spike up. There's 623 people ahead of me now. So fantastic. It was 6,000. Now it's 623. So hopefully we'll get the tickets sooner rather than later. And as soon as
what's the total number of tickets?
I don't even know, bro.
Like, you're saying almost 6,000 people in front of you.
We're ahead of me. We're ahead of me. Limit down. This is gonna halt. No, Scotiabank. Yeah, Scotiabank.
Okay.
35,000, yeah, at least, right? Okay, so there was a false halt right there on RXT, 152 limit down. Be careful with this one. So I give back a little bit there on RXT because I didn't want to get caught in a halt. But it is holding up at the 10 EMA. So I'd like to get in here now that the price action has kind of developed a little bit. Obe, I'm going to send it to you because there's only one person ahead of me now.
Yes, yes, sir. So 600 got swiped real quick, eh? So the market did attempt to pull up. And then we got the second red candle there on the 15 on the day, and then followed by a top wick right there. So interesting, some selling definitely coming in here. Let's see if we can get any sort of a continuation here. We got about I guess 14 minutes left for this 15-minute candle to finish. Right here, 76 halves here on Robinhood. So I did cover, I guess, most of that when it came into the 76s, pops back up into VWAP, and I'm like, all right, cool. Let's see how much further these buyers can really take it. Starts to stall a little bit, get involved with a little bit more, and it's pulling back in. Let's see if we can break this 76.20s now. Palantir, though, is definitely coming into its VWAP. So that was, I mean, it's been a great short if you've been patient and waiting for these pops, waiting for those buyers to kind of dissipate every single time, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, and even this prior high, as of most recent, 39.40s, 139.40s brings you all the way back down into VWAP. So beautiful, beautiful action happening here on Palantir after that aggressive, strong bid dissipates from the morning session, right? Where it was very, very active buying, and then now we're getting some maybe not so active selling happening here, and maybe taking out some of those morning and even pre-market longs as it kind of chops to the downside. Market tailwind definitely on the side of shorts here, maybe a little bit more than buyers, but we'll see how that kind of pans out. Another stock, and Neil messaged me about this one earlier as well. Wendy's was interesting. And I was just like, okay, cool, Wendy's, what's going on here? And yeah, no real sign of selling. It is doing relative volume. I don't know what the news on this one necessarily is, but today is earnings day 3. right? So earnings day 3, yeah, on day 1, it was doing roughly, I guess, about 5 to 3 times relative volume. So in a 5 period, day 2 was doing roughly 2 to 3 times, yes.
So Nelson Peltz got involved with this, or at least it looks like he was maybe already involved in it, but he was just basically saying that he believes it's undervalued. That is Trian management, and also, again, run by Nelson Peltz, who is, the fun fact, the father-in-law of Brooklyn Beckham. So nice look there for WEN with that Nelson Peltz thumbs up.
Thank you very much. So I guess being bought up here by a significant person potentially, and catching a strong bid on the day today. So day 3, you can see here, earnings day 1 high was just shy of $8. We bid back above that, and now continuing higher here as well. So thank you, Adara, for bringing us that piece of news there. That could definitely add some confluence here for that bid, and definitely for that relative volume at the same time. But I do have eyes on it as of right now. So yeah, no, we're talking about those mining stocks as well. So HYMC, no real selling happening here. What else do I have here? Walmart, WMT. Let's see what Walmart's up to. It's coming into its lows here. Some of these staples were doing some interesting action over the past couple of weeks, but strong selling here on Walmart yesterday, and now breaking down and continuing a little bit further here on Walmart. So caught a bid into yesterday's end of day range, and those sellers stepped right back in. Let me know what you guys are trading, what you guys are looking at. I know people have been talking about Mulek, and this was a name from 2 days ago. I still remember this, and I was just like, okay, well, this is interesting. And we were kind of laughing about the Mulek, and how it was kind of funny post-split runner. I think that was maybe last week as well. It's been kind of chopping around, no real follow through to the downside. Yesterday, or I guess two trading sessions ago on Friday, you can see here it did some significant volume, and then the next day we talk about liquidity traps. The next day, barely any volume at all. There's some music. So barely any volume at all. Coming into today, starts off the day straight up with some halts, halting up and getting those shorts running for the fences there. So $13 was that prior high. And now today, high a day is coming in at 19.5, so pretty aggressive there. But I think some of that pressure to play off of was definitely in the morning session, as it did halt up and continue pretty decently at the same time. So Mulek giving us some opportunities over the past couple of weeks. But let me know, CVX saying Danny Diaz. Let's see how CVX and some of our oil friends are doing.
Man, I got the best tickets, bro.
You got the best tickets? Where'd you get them?
Row 1. Row 1 in like the center, right where the stage is, man. I got the best tickets,
nice.
Bro. 119, row 2, sorry, I lied. Row 2. Yeah. Row 2, seat 115. Look at that, Obi.
Nice. Nice.
Uno.
One of them. Yeah.
No, bro, it's, I would say bad words, but, you know, there we go. You want to, sorry, continue there.
It's all good.
Apologize for that.
Shout out to Sharif for locking in that ticket. What was the band called again? Tame Impala.
Yeah.
There you go.
They're Australian.
Congrats.
So what?
A crazy Civic. That's funny. CVX though, just in a sideways range, guys. Nothing too crazy here today. I guess they did their dividend yesterday here, coming in with some strong selling, but today just chopping around in opening ranges. We got some news.
We got news.
What's up, Adara?
Little spike here for CRWD. It's going to be in watch here after Microsoft and CrowdStrike announced that the Falcon platform from CrowdStrike is now available on Microsoft Marketplace. So CRWD and MSFT working together. CrowdStrike, of course, was also in watch with Palo Alto earnings. So certainly cybersecurity names continue to be in play this Wednesday session. Back to you.
Clearly, it was very much there. All right, you wanna finish up?
CVX, I was done with CVX, but we can take a look at what else you guys are talking about. I'm done with this hood there, thank you. Market's bidding right back up again towards those highs, so we'll see if we can get any sort of other continuation trades here potentially. I actually want to see if this can get through 76, and I don't care about leaving 50 pennies on the table for that. Let's see if we can get through this prior low and actually catch a real sell here. But the selling definitely came in 77 halves all the way to 76s and some change. I think the low of this that consolidation or this VWAP chop here was 76.19. So just still holding that VWAP as of right now. But let me know what you guys are up to and what you guys are trading as well, so we can take a look at the same time. So CVX was the last one I saw. Let's see, KGC and GFI saying grandmother's garden. Okay, cool. Let's see. Let's take a look at those. And apparently those are both mining stocks as well. So KGC. Kinross Gold, okay, I've definitely heard the name before. And okay, so I guess we got to check out what some of these precious metals are up to today as well, and see if there's any sort of relative move or confluence on that one. But Kinross Gold, strength definitely on the day, consolidating and trading within the upper quartile of the day's range as of right now. So looking good. $35. I like that. $35. Just in general, I like that as a price. And it's knocking on the door of $35 here on KGC. What was the other one there? Let me see, I forgot the other one. I gotta scroll back up. There's a lot of people dropping those stocks in the chat. GFI. Let's take a look at this one. Goldfields. Okay, I definitely have to check out gold after this one. Okay, gold not really doing too much. Still kind of chopping around within some recent ranges, but let's see what it looks like on the daily and the bigger picture. Get that VWAP out of here and see. Wow. Okay. Cool. Is this an ADR? Because it seems like these gaps are all over the place here on these Goldfields Limited. I want to take a quick look at gold before I pass it back to Sharif. Taking a look at gold by the ounce, this is what the daily looks like, and I guess, yeah, we have been bidding up pretty decently here on the intraday at the same time. So 5,010.9 is the day highs as of right now, so we dropped all the way down to 4.8s there over the past couple of days, and now bidding right back up to that 5K mark. SLV or silver was definitely on a lot of people's radar. What? So let's take a look at that one here as well. So 77s, 78s here coming in. But I mentioned this one earlier as well. On the weekly, this thing did its 50% retracement. $50, in my opinion, was that key breakout level. 35s if you were really early, but that was December, January, I guess June of last year, and then we got this $50 breakout as well, roughly in and around that area. 54s, 55s, and then off to the races here. 85s all the way up to an all-time high of $121.64. If you're measuring this leg here, we definitely had more than a 50% pullback from those highs there and retracing back into that $80 level here on silver. But on the day, yeah, it is catching a bit of a bid, but within the range of the past couple of months or weeks, it would seem. Silver. So it seems like the miners and some of these commodities that are related are definitely running on the day today.
That looks worrisome, that area, because look at the pre-consolidation or the pre-breakout area, the consolidation area. Yeah, you're right back into that range.
Yep.
That could be that could be a head and shoulders pattern in the formation at the moment.
For sure, yeah.
If I was to enter the head and shoulders pattern, I know some people like to get really aggressive, they like to give it aggressive and give it to the head. Yeah. I personally wouldn't. I give it to the high of the right shoulder. Yeah. And if I'm wrong, what's that green candle on the right shoulder right there? No, the one before.
This one?
Yep, that's the one.
That's
I give it to there
92s?
personally.
Yeah.
And if it broke out above that, then I'd get out. But that does look
I was watching
quite
these for the reversion, and I was just like, this is aggressive. Like, this kind of move, commodities have not seen maybe in a potentially long time. Definitely not in my lifetime.
Well said.
But a simple trend break.
Right.
would have given you 100s, maybe 110s if you're a little bit early. If you're looking at bar breaks, you're looking at maybe 106s. But that 100 back through was definitely a place to slap it in and maybe look for some SLV puts and things of the sort, because those have definitely been paying.
Well said, Ob. All right, guys, back into RXT as it's shown some support here at the $0.5. My current out is prior bar low, which is lower than the $0.5. It's at 48, so I've given it to a little bit below that. I'm looking for a move back up into 60. Look, I don't think this is going to rocket up. Because it was a thick trade to begin with, and we're going to risk very, very little here, again, to prior bar low, and we'll see what's good with that one. I'm also keeping an eye on Atom, because that one really did reject 7 quite aggressively and has now kind of, well, I don't know, man, maybe it's still holding that uptrend. You can adjust the trend line here if you'd like. It still does jive. This is the area for me, though, that 640 area, because we were talking about that area being a staunchy area of resistance basically all morning. It's there right now, showing you 645, current bar low, 640.5 on the dot. Now, if you were to get in, I personally would give it a little bit of room so that you're not subject to the stop hunt, right? Oftentimes when things are volatile, they're moving and or because people are hunting your stops, it does break that key technical level of resistance or support, only to make its way right back up and, leave without you, so to speak. So be on the lookout for that, but I don't mind this entry here on Atom. So let's go ahead and have a quick look at Atom. I am worried, though, because it is at times illiquid. In fact, since that candle at 11:10, we've been putting some declining volume profiles. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a small share size here. It's not letting me in, obviously, because of the spread. So we're going to have to move up a little bit more. What do you want, Ram Ram? Small share size on Atom. Get it, Ram Ram. Okay, you could interrupt for that one. That was good. No. So we'll put the stop, a little bit below that 640. So let's go ahead and do just that. Let's see what we get with this. We got 44s, show me 45s. Let's see if we can take out some just south of the $0.5, and then obviously we'll wait north of that and we'll see what the situation is. But I'm seeing that RXT is dropping right back into that $0.5 area. It still hasn't breached prior bar low, but if it loses 48, I am out. I'm not going to DCA into this. It has an aggressive move down with that 171 area basically being the area high, and we haven't seen any higher highs on the 5-minute charts at least. So there we go, got stopped out. So we will give back some here on RXT. Sucks to be me, but I had to take a shot there because it was at that 50 penny level as well as the 10 EM on the 5, which I liked. So we're going to focus now on Atom and see what the situation is with that one. Oh my days, look at that drop, bro. Holy cow. It dropped all the way into 6.25, but I got way out earlier. I got 634s, so we ended up losing 10 pennies on that one. This has become quite volatile. It's lost trend completely here. I would say look for a VWAP hold, but I don't know. You're not going to find me holding here at VWAP. That's 617, 615, but I just don't like the way this one is retracing, breaking down below technical levels and not really holding up at all. So let's look for something else, and immediately apparent to me is HYMC. Shout out to the OG who brought us this earlier, and since he brought us this at around, I think, 11:30, the last time this touched the 10 EMA on the 5 is 11:15. It has been so directional. It's given you dollars. We were talking about this at 39, almost 40 bucks. Now it's up to 43.5. So HYMC, a nice looker. Definitely, you see this a lot. Price action, volume divergence, where the volume is making lower highs, all the while the price is making higher highs. That is kind of normal for the midday, where the volume does dry up. But as you can see here, buyers are outdoing sellers, and you're able to tell that immediately by the price action. So keep an eye here on HYMC for a possible entry. I'm not exactly sure how I would even get into this. All my usual moves here are not coming into play, and that it is basically to get in. Ram at the 10 EMA on the 5, we're around 42.80, give or take. That's about $1, almost $1 removed from the current price action. Pardon me. So I'm not really sure how I would get into HYMC, but it keeps taking out highs. 43.66, there it goes into another area high. It's very strong, very directional. Let's see what we get with this one. I'm not going to be waiting at the 10 EMA. I just don't think it gives you that many opportunities. So we'll see if I can spot something on the tape there, Ope.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely looking out for more opportunities. And I see here in the chat that John Womack calling out Micron here, MU. Yeah, absolute strength here on Micron. Definitely some aggressive relative strength when compared to the rest of the chip names here. We can go through some of those as well and see how this one's actually standing against them. But definitely, look at this. It broke out of its opening range. The only pullback that it's shown was down into 417s, 418s, breaking back through that 420, nice, and then 424 consolidating at the highs just shy of this 427.85 high of day. So yeah, Micron longs are definitely winning today, and market tailwind definitely on the side as well, looking very similar to this market chart. But let's take a quick look at Nvidia. You can see here Nvidia not really looking the same, but when it comes to Micron, maybe it's better to compare it to SNDK, SanDisk here. So SanDisk, another one with some relative volume in the pre-market session and bidding right back up into this 616.97 is the day high here on SNDK. And the beautiful thing about this chart, Sharif, was that it is starting to catch a little bit of a sell. When I go to the weekly chart, you can see here that the strength that was there, I guess on the weekly, still kind of there, but we did start to get a little bit of a chop over the past few days. This is what I'm talking about. Yeah, not necessarily on the weekly. I guess on the weekly will look perfectly fine. We're consolidating here, and this could definitely trend a little bit higher, but this bid that we got all the way from January coming into the end of January and the beginning of February, that bid has definitely started to dissipate a little bit, and we're getting sideways action. So this could definitely be maybe a little bit of price acceptance and some continuation overhead here. But I'm watching this consolidation very, very closely. That consolidation low coming in at 545s, and then these highs coming in just shy of, I guess, 725 exactly. We got a super chat here by
for you, brother.
Katindri, blessed through...
Katinder, I think.
Blessed through Christ. Katindri, blessed through Christ. Okay, thank you very much for the super chat. Hey, Obi, love your clarity on reading the charts. Please look at IWM, looking to get into some calls. Pulled back from this morning. Thank you very much. Hey man, listen, at the end of the day, I'm just giving my opinions here. I want to reiterate that they mean absolutely nothing, and if you find some clarity through them, then you know all the power to you. But sure, we can take a look at IWM. Again, that is the iShares Russell 2000 ETF here. Pull back from this morning. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, man. Look at the daily chart. We're sideways in this kind of range here since about January, since about mid-January. So all I really see here in terms of maybe price action and technicals is nothing too much, other than we have been trending up quite nicely since April. Right? This was when the president was basically like, "Hey, it's a great time to buy stocks," you know. That was, since then we've been catching a bid pretty aggressively on a lot of names, IWM included here. Higher highs and higher lows is what I'm saying here. So higher highs and higher lows. The thing is, this time frame is much higher. You can see here since then, how many trading sessions have we had? All of these candles amount to about 218 roughly from April. And you can see some of these pullbacks as well on the way have pulled back about, what, 5%, 6%. This pullback right here, even though technically we're making higher highs and higher lows, a 10% pullback. So the question really becomes, like, what time frame are you trying to take this move on, right? So the chart kind of speaks for itself here. Shorter time frame, definitely very choppy, but bigger time frame, you can even hop up to like the weekly or the monthly here, and you can see kind of the range and gauge some ideas based off of that. But the bid definitely coming in. The breakout happened here, I guess, at 241.60s with a nice little chop there as well. We got some more super chats here. Shout out from the LBC saying Tim Dog. I don't know if that's a I guess that's not a stock, but I don't know what the LBC stands for. But thank you from the LBC, Tim Dog. And Frederick on Yummy Pants. Nice. Thank you for the super chat as well.
Thank you,
The thing you need to know about HYMC is that they have zero debt. They're already permitted with all infrastructure already in place, and Eric Sprott owns 40% of the company. This continues tomorrow,
I like
saying Yummy Pants. Well, we'll see if the price action is just as yummy on HYMC
It looks good,
tomorrow.
Obi. I think you might like this.
We'll see. I mean, look. Okay, right away, I'm looking at the monthly, man. Oh boy, talk about a rounded bottom with an aggressive bid there, expanding volume. Hello, we should have picked one of these as one of the picks coming into the year, because this is absolutely beautiful here as a long. And look at this, from January of this year, I guess that was just this candle. So we already start to break out here, 84% with a high all the way up to 58s in January. So looking absolutely beautiful here. So bigger picture is definitely on your side on HYMC as it bids a little bit higher. But you can see since that 58 high, we did kind of pull back coming into February, but we'll see how the month ends. We still have a few days left until the month end, and we're catching that strong bid back into some of these prior levels from January. So yeah, maybe I'll be watching that 45, maybe 50 level as well. And yeah, zero debt, always kind of
always good.
Always pretty decent there as well, and that expanding volume on the much higher time frame looking absolutely beautiful as well. And we kind of talked about what I like to look at when it comes to actual like longer term swings is maybe a higher time frame monthly chart. So I've been looking more at like a multi-month charts here, like a 3-month, a 6-month. Some of you guys have even seen me look at 12-month charts on some of these things, because again, what time frame are you really trying to push, right? If you're trying to look at something for the next couple of weeks, does it make sense to look at a monthly chart? Maybe if it's in a significant area, right? But if you're looking for something for a much longer term swing, say for like a whole year or a couple of years, or maybe a long term thing, maybe you definitely want to cut out all the noise. Just like how, a day trader that trades maybe on the hourly doesn't really care what's happening on the minute chart. Right? A trader that trades on the 30-minute doesn't care what's happening on the second chart. Weekly trader or a monthly trader probably doesn't really care what's happening on the daily chart either. So again, when it comes to trade plan, I think time frame is very, very key. And you can see here HYMC looking absolutely beautiful in terms of a higher time frame push, and it's trying to break out of some of these prior levels as well. Post split, this was a very long time ago. I don't know what kind of market regime or kind of area we were in here, but as of recent, the past 3 candles here on the 3-month, expanding volume, decent push. Interesting stuff nonetheless.
Absolutely, yeah. It's gold and silver. That's
been pushing up as well. But you got to remember, silver's been pushing. Maybe this is the delayed reaction on some of these miners, right?
Good point.
I have no idea.
Guys, I'm looking at IBRX here. It's not the biggest mover on the day, but it's up 31 3/4, and it looks like it's on its way to 793 showing up. I feel like maybe I caught this one a little too late. It wasn't readily apparent on my scanner when we started the show, and then I haven't really had an opportunity to look at the scanner until now. But it's looking real good over here, and it is one of those ones that you can see that consistent pattern of respect that it seems to have for the 10 EMA on the 5. A couple of breaches here exclusively on a wick basis, no closing prints below that 10 EMA. The largest of those breaches was at 1050, and it was immediately bought up. So a nice looking upward channel here after a big price spike up right at 930. We consolidate, I want to say, from about 1030 until about that 1125, 1130. So almost an hour of lower highs, and then that's since broken. So you can see the higher lows, the higher highs are operative now. My only concern is kind of what I started this whole spiel with, the proximity to 796 high dropping down into 789. It is one to keep an eye out on, though, especially if it clears 8 and clears it quite decisively. RXT is continuing to put in lower highs. It keeps defending that $0.5, and that could off-put some people who could be looking to use that $0.5 as support. And then that I completely get. But what I'll insist upon is the, the decisive clearing of that lower high, and even more, I want to say less aggressive, but more, cautious entry would be above this prior high at 1220. So like 160, 161 could lure me into the trade. That would make it 10 pennies off the day's high. But if you're thinking we're going to hit 171, we're going to clear it, well then we could be destined for 2. So that one will be in focus for me, as well as FJET. I know I got no positions on right now. I don't like anything currently. FJET also finding itself caught within a bit of a range for the better part of an hour and 20 minutes now. Ever since we got up to that area high at 985, that was around, what time was that? That was 20 after 11. So it's now almost 1:45, and we've been kind of stuck within the same, I want to say, 30 to 40 penny range. It looks a little bit, though, like it might be rounded bottoming. It's not a bottom, obviously, that rounding shape. Now, that rounding shape is kind of bullish, right? Because it's not rocketing up like it did at the open, but it's showing you incrementally, or the buyers are picking this up at higher and higher levels every single time. And moreover, that buying pressure from the lows is pushing the price higher and higher and higher relative to its predecessor. You can see that very easily. Look at these area highs relative to the middle of that kind of half U shape where we couldn't really clear 950. So FJET certainly in focus for me, and I'll be looking at executing on there if the price is right, so to speak. VVPR is kind of lost the bid into the volume weighted average price. That's no longer of interest to me. MLEC hasn't really been of interest to me at all. It's been putting lower highs and lower highs. It's really HYMC, RXT, and IBRX and FJET. So those 4, right? VVPR, Atom, RCAT, MLEC, not really. Not really at all. So that's what I'll keep my eye on there. Some people are saying works. I did have a quick look at that. If I can stay away from these sub $1 stocks, especially the ones that are really sub $1, like Works, which is, I think, trading at 30 pennies. Let's take a look at it here. Yeah, 38 pennies. It's got a good looking chart, man. Popped off basically at the open. 940 is when it got a price spike up, about 950,000 shares, more 960,000 shares exchanging hands there. But then you have a chasm of volume right there. There's nothing between that monster candle at 940 and then again at 1145, and it barely did anything. 234,000 shares for a 38 penny name. I mean, come on. All that said, it is almost at the day high. In fact, I think the day high is that 940 price spike up, which got to 40 1/3 pennies. It's showing 39 1/3 pennies, so it's 1 penny off the day high. And in case you're wondering what the hell I'm talking about, why is this guy's charts devoid of any tickers? Well, there you go. WORX, that's the one I'm talking about right now. I'd like to stay away from this if I can, but if there aren't really anything else to trade, we're going to look to build a position. I don't want to say around 36 and a half, maybe even 37 pennies. That is where the VWAP, the volume weighted average price, is hanging out. But if we get a price spike up, we take out prior level highs by like 5-6 pennies, then I'll use prior level high as support. So that's my look there on WORX. It's not my favorite, and you guys already know for exactly why. RXT is losing the bid in a frickin' hurry over here. And now it's unbroken in that lower high setup that we basically been in since 1210. That is the high of the day. That's when it printed that 171 high, and it's been bleeding its own blood. Shout out to my boy Joey Opsh, whose dog is not feeling well today. In case you're wondering where Joey Options is, he had to take the dog to the vet. Milo, he's not feeling that well. So we're gonna shout out Joey Opsh, and we're gonna hope Milo feels a bit better. But my boy Joey Option would say this one's bleeding its own blood, making lower lows and lower highs. It is coming into that 140 level. That 140 level is of interest to me because it was originally an area of resistance. So I don't necessarily want to pick it up off that level, even though it's shown a couple of times here that the buyers are stepping into the low 140s. I'd rather it find support at 140 and then change its tune. How does it change its tune? It starts putting in incrementally higher lows and higher highs, at least on the 5, and then you can work your way down the time frame there and go to the 1 or the 3 so you can refine your entries. But it's got to show to me on the 5 initially, and then we can have a conversation there. So there are some running here. I don't want to make it sound like there's nothing running. It's HYMC, it's IBRX, it's FJET, and possibly we'll have a look at RXT if it does find some support there. Mr. Easy Street. Stop kicking the dog, Joe. Mr. Easy Street, do you remember that prank call, Kick My Dog, from like 30 years ago?
Yes.
So I already knew you laughed immediately. So that means you know all about it.
That's a classic.
That is a classic, bro.
Classic.
And I think it was, am I far off in saying I think it was Brampton?
Yeah,
It was
I think
Brampton.
the story took place in Brampton.
But that thing went worldwide. It was kind of like
it was
Pitbull.
definitely very popular in Toronto and the GTA for sure.
That's so good.
But,
Remember downloading that off LimeWire and Napster because like there were actually prank calls you could download in MP3 format.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I used LimeWire for a little bit there initially for a lot of music, and then what was that other one? ShareBear.
No,
I think.
that one.
You
I
remember
don't
that
know
one?
about.
ShareBear or something like that. That's mainly what I started using, and then Pirate Bay never really looked back from
Pirate Bay. You needed an FTP downloader though, obviously, because it was. Not that I ever downloaded anything off it, of course. I don't want anyone to get that wrong idea, but you know, I had to. You got to be informed, right? Oh, right. So. You gotta inform yourself.
Yes, there you go. Yeah,
people know.
Bear share. There you go. People. Kaza. I remember Kaza. Kaza was.
I don't remember that
huge.
one.
uTorrent for sure. Yeah.
Ichiro, torrents are 100% legal. Of course they are. Ichiro.
P2P information sharing. Why not?
Yeah, of course. Nothing is wrong there. Everything is absolutely fine. Nobody need worry. I never got any emails from Rogers telling me to stop downloading certain things. That never happened. You know what I'm saying? Nobody ever reported anything and saying this IP address was downloading stuff.
You could always just say, be like, my neighbor kind of came onto my Wi-Fi and I have no idea what you're talking about.
But God bless the Canadian regulator. They wouldn't give your name to the company. So they would just send you a message said stop, but they wouldn't disclose your information because they wanted to sue you civilly, right? Yeah. Delete the files.
Yeah.
All right, guys,
customer retention as well from Rogers, right? They can do anything and everything to retain their customers.
Exactly.
So,
they were motivated there.
Yeah, definitely.
Guys, IBRX took out 8. Here we go. So we were worried about $8 being a bit of a resistance level on IBRX. Well, it is up into 809 now. Great look here for IBRX. I like it, possibly. Look, into 790, it had a lot of resistance. I'm probably going to look for some dips below 8 to see if I can get some money fills here on IBRX, but it's a good looker right now when a lot of these ones are bleeding their own blood to the downside. FJet, to be fair, though, is making a move back into the high of the day. Where's the jet at? There it is, right back in. I think we're about 4 or 5 pennies away from that high of day off FJet. IBRX and FJet, very similar, 34%, 37%. One's at $8, one's at $9. Very similar chart patterns as well. I'm not saying trade them the same, but they're looking awfully similar here. So FJet and IBRX are going to be in focus for me. I think those are the two that I'm going to try to weasel into. MLEC consolidated at 15. Says Nurse Stock Rocks 50.75. Yeah, I don't like the look of MLEC's jib for the reason that it keeps putting in lower highs, and that ain't the move. Maybe for Luis Barbado, shout out to him. He'd probably be getting in here. What the hell day is it? Do we have Luis today? Assassino? Okay. Well, no, if he comes in, just let me know, because typically we do have him. Yeah, I appreciate that, Assassino, because that's probably in 10 minutes or so, if he's going to come on. So let's just go ahead and say Luis Barbado is going to be on. I don't know, is he in the calendar, Katina, man? I appreciate you, brother. Let me just have a look. I got the calendar up here. Luis, where is he? I don't see him. Yeah, I don't see him here. He's here? Okay, so Luis is here. Thank you very much. So guys, get your questions for Luis into the chat now. You gotta tag Obi or myself. Otherwise, we're not gonna see it. So Luis obviously is a fantastic small cap gapper trader, but his moat here, his focus is on shorting these bad boys.
Yeah.
I know you love that. So if you are interested in, refining your small cap gapper short game and you have some questions for Luis, throw them in. Tag myself or OB so we can see them. Obviously, as Luis is talking, should you get any more questions or you have any other, you want some refining on what he's saying, tag myself as well. Cloud King wants him to look at BNAI. I'll copy that, and we'll have the OG Luis take a look at that. But keep it, keep in mind that he is focused on one specific thing, right? So try to keep it within that sort of purview. But yeah, tag myself or OB if you have any questions for Luis Barbado. I know I certainly do. There's a whole lot that's running that is probably going to be on his purview. Most notably, MLEC, which is now halted down. MLEC is halted down, unbroken. Look at that, unbroken from that lower high chain. It is halted down 1362, guys. It is losing a lot of different areas of support, most notably that candle at 1120, the low of which was 1398, so it's lost $14. That's a bit of a tough one there, so be careful trading MLEC, especially to the long side. I'm going to ask him about RXT, and I want to see how he feels about the setup here on RXT, especially since we're about, well, we're almost 30, 40 pennies off the area high. We're still above VWAP though, and I know that was one of his things. He didn't really like shorting these things above VWAP, so we'll ask him about that, Obi.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely want to ask him a couple questions about MLEC, and does he think that was like a liquidity trap, and what kind of does he often look at liquidity traps as well? Because I'm definitely, like I said before to you, I definitely want to look into trading some of those a little bit more, because yeah, a lot of intraday traders that I'm talking to, a lot of their capital coming in, a lot of their P&L is reflected just based off of just shorting small caps. So,
absolutely.
Especially when you're working at for a prop firm, you do have the kind of market access and the tools to do that effectively and efficiently at the same time. So it was Charlie Taff in the chat saying, Obi, can you please peep Tesla as it's hovering around high of day? So yeah, sure, we can take a quick look at Tesla here. I was watching it as well, coming into this 416.5 level here, but again, bigger picture, kind of just chopping around here. Nothing too crazy. Higher highs, sorry, not really higher highs, but higher lows pushing up into this 416 level. So Charlie Taff, it doesn't really look like it's kind of breaking any sort of levels, but it did recover yesterday pretty decently from some aggressive selling off of the open, and now we're kind of churning above that as of right now. But right now, I think we're ready.
We are. We've got the OG himself, Luis Barbado, from the Real Trading Office in Barcelona, Spain. Luis, good to see you again, my friend, and thank you for coming on.
What's up? What's up?
Thank you, Tarif.
Obi saying hi as well. So let's just get right down to it, Luis. I want to ask you about MLEC, because this one is halted down. It's an aggressive move down, Luis. Here's my chart, and this is kind of what I was looking at there, Luis. That big, huge candle to make a new high, 1950 high. That's a 1040 candle on the 5. It loses VWAP there, Luis, after that sell-off, unbroken to the low side. You get another attempt at VWAP, but that also fails. And moreover, it continues to make lower highs. And so, is this one that you were looking at getting short? And if you were, what would be your methodology here?
We didn't sort this one. I have to say it went out of radar. We didn't find this stock. It has some history from a couple of weeks ago, I think. It went pretty crazy, and the movement was a pump and dump. So it was not very bad to go short there, but never front sight in this one because it was very, very tricky. Also, take into account, this stock is it's very hard to borrow. It was around $13 per 100 shares. So it is not a lot since it moves very volatile. So we didn't take the short. If you short this one, wait for confirmation, never front side against this stock. Also because we have a criminal situation yesterday with this PLYX movement. You remember PLYX moving from $4 to 60. So, you know, the air is very thin when something like this happens the next day. So be very careful sorting front side this kind of a stock.
Oh, do you have a question? Or I have more here.
Yeah, sure. I wanted to ask you, Luis. Thank you once again for coming on. When it comes to these small caps, how often are you looking at like liquidity traps? And something like a MLEC today, it came up on one of my scanners, and I did see it was running last week. It ran a couple days ago, and then yesterday, no volume, failure to break down. But today, the breakout of that prior day level from Friday never looks back. So, are you looking at some of that stuff as well? Sharif was saying that you mainly like to short the small caps, but when something like that does set up, are you willing to take the long through that level as well?
Yeah, sometimes we're looking for the longs as well. It has to have some check to go long, like lower float. If it's Chinese company or Israeli company or something like that, it's even better because the volatility is higher. And news, of course, and breaking, as you say, high of other days or previous highs, daily highs, 180 highs, or whatever like that. And lower volume in the pre-market at least. If it has a lot of volume and the market has open and half an hour after the open, it's more unlikely that it will keep going higher.
Yeah. So you're looking for that squeeze if you are looking for the long there. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, we're looking for a squeeze and a nice pullback and some very, very tight consolidation to go long. In this case, it was very, very difficult to go long because the movement was very sharp, right, and the retracement were very, very fast against the VWAP, but not so easy with that very, very thin level 2.
Okay. All right.
Luis, I have a question for you with respect to volume at the time of the day. What I've noticed a lot is the ones that end up making a good move towards the high usually will hold VWAP in a general sense during the slow time of the day. I mean kind of like from 11 to 2-ish in around that area. If they hold VWAP in that area, I typically like to take them long, possibly for a move into the high of the day. If they fail VWAP at that level during the illiquid time of the day, and you can kind of see the volume drying up, so you have volume price action convergence where they're both dropping down. Is that a setup that you're looking at as well?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're looking for long, you look for lunchtime to hold VWAP and hold supports and hold even volume if possible, although it's very difficult that it holds volume. And then you might see another race towards the end of the day. But again, I think you are fighting against the statistics. As long as the day goes, the lower probability that the stock keeps going up. If you're looking for longs, it is better pre-market open or first half an hour. The more the time the day pass, the lower probability that the stock will go up again.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, no. I was just running a couple. I was curious. What are you trading today? Because I'm looking at like RXT. I know Sharif was dabbling with FJET. IBRX is kind of moving around as well. So I'm curious. What were you trading today, and how did you execute?
Let's check a couple of trades that I think were interesting. This one was the first one with the SNSE. Okay. The stock went up very, very sharp pre-market. We went short against this 30 area. After this spike of $32, $33, we went short there, took the profit, and then you wait again. You don't go front side, wait for a new highs, new fresh air here, short again, and out against the VWAP. We took another short here, as you can see, the VWAP rejection we call, short against the VWAP, stop out because of the halted, and the rest down here. And now we have the backside, we have fighting VWAP and below, so we're taking shorts, more shorts, adding into the short, adding into the short. I am holding this with a stop 27, 28, 29 until the end of the day. This was one of the nicest stock today. We also have this.
Hold on, Luis. I just want to ask you. I want to ask you about that because that's a really good one right there. So it looked like you were consistently looking for VWAP failures there. Every time it attempted to reclaim VWAP, it failed, and that was your short entry.
Yes, absolutely. Short against the VWAP, try to avoid front side, tight stop in previous highs during the day, not daily highs, but relative highs.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. Yeah, go ahead, Luis.
Yeah, we go with another one. Is this ATOM, very interesting as well. First, what you have to do when you trade a stock like this is check from the previous day. What we are looking for here is the first red day. We call the first red day. This stock has moved up several days, very sharp on the upside, as you can see here, from 250 to 4, from 4 to 6, and today we are expecting the first red day. So the movement to turns from the green to the red. That would be close below 6,580, if possible. So we were very patient on this first movement, okay, waiting for some supports to break or something like that. As you can see, I took the first short here against these highs. I had to stop out on this pullback, and then I add again against this 7-round number. And now it's working. So now it's working. We are holding, adding more on the pop, and holding, and we really expect this 620 to break below VWAP, and then 580, 550, 5. Never know. Even if it looks like it has gone down a lot, it can go much lower. Look at the chart, and it can go to $5. Look, 580, 550, $5. Who knows?
One refining question there. One of the trade that you were speaking about there, first red day. So I'm assuming you're looking for it to turn red today because it's still up, I think, 9.25%. But what's your formula, Luis, for that first red day? Because you're not the first person I've heard talk specifically about that type of trade.
Well, you wait for 1, 2, or 3 green days with a lot of volume, and then when the interest start to disappear from this stock because we have another runners with a lot of volume, like today, RXT, SNSE, and something like that, the traders stop looking this stock. So if it has gone up like 300%, like this stock, it's very likely that it goes down. You have to be patient on the entry, of course, but once you are there and the setup start to work, you have to let it run. If possible, end of day is the best choice. It's the first red day after a few green days. Sometimes it's only one very, very aggressive green day, and the second day you start to looking for red.
Amazing. That's good information there. Did you have anything you want to ask, Mo?
So for something like that, you're looking for that flush. Do you ever look into like the SEC filings to see if they have like a shelf lined up or any offerings? And does that give you stronger conviction after it's up like 300-400%?
Absolutely. Check dilution tracker if it's likely to do an offering, ATM or warrants or something like that. We are more convinced, or it goes to A+ setup if it has something like that. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Luis, for coming on. I appreciate it. I know you're still holding a couple of positions, so good luck on. I hope Adam breaks that volume-weighted average price. We were taking the same trade, you to the short side, myself to the long side. You caught the top there at 7, good on you. I got out at 7, so ironically enough there.
You had one very good setup today in RXT, holding VWAP with a lot of volume, so it was a nice long there. I took few shorts, as you can see here, but again, on the pullbacks, I also went long. You see, not very good holding these longs. It's not my specialty, but we also took some longs here. It's holding, the most clear trade was here, holding one round dollar, exactly. Holding VWAP, and just before the open. As you can see, before the open, we are trading above VWAP, near to pre-market highs, and just when it opens, it goes over pre-market highs, nice retracement to the VWAP, and then you have a very nice uptrend. But now after this, what we call this death candle, you see this death candle, the movement is done. Probably it will go down the rest of the day.
Yeah, it does look like it is bleeding there. Unbroken downtrend, Luis. Since that 171 high, can't seem to make any new highs. So I agree with you there. 125 on the VWAP for everybody looking at RXT. Great double-sided trade there, Luis. Long, short, thank you so much for coming on, brother.
Thank you, guys.
Awesome, some great.
He's always very, very specific with the details of how he gets in, why he gets in. So excellent guest to have on. Shout out to Luis Barbado, giving us a different picture there. It's 5 after 1. Oh, we typically, as you know, start the news around here. Do you want to cover anything before we start?
I think I'm okay for now. I think people were talking about that Tesla and Apple. Tesla, I guess Apple was the one that I didn't really cover, and I think I forget who it was in the chat, kind of talking about Apple. I didn't really see too much here. The thing is, even yesterday, I didn't really see too much when it came to some of the stocks in play, but I was like, yeah, let's take a look at some of the market here, and Apple was relatively strong as well today, just kind of consolidating on top of its opening range. I guess it finally did get above that at around 10 o'clock, but prior day's high couldn't really get past that either. So you can see market absolute strength. Apple not really showing a similar kind of move there. When it comes to the Mag 7s, I guess we can take a look at Meta because I don't really watch Meta too closely. I guess Meta, nice little bid here, but the strongest one I see out of the Mag 7 today, Sharif, is Amazon. Amazon is one of the more extended ones to the upside. Interestingly enough, one of the few ones that did have pre-market relative volume of over 2.5 to 2.6, and then holding those prior day highs like a champ, and then catching that bid off of the open, and that bid definitely sustaining. And relative strength, I guess, on this one, a little bit more, I guess, roughly Google's in and around the same area, Tesla as well, but I see that Amazon did quite nicely today as well.
And Adam just lost view up. Great trade there, Louise, if you're still listening. What a move down into 6. I hope it continues to bleed its own blood through 6. But we're going to pause for a second before we go to see if for the news segment we're going to Adara for news.
Yes, we are. I want to mention here, guys, as the Nasdaq waffles here around a high of day ahead of the FOMC minutes, Fed's Bowman just started speaking, and she said that she finds the latest job report to be, quote, a bit strange, noting that apparently most others indicators are not showing as strong of a labor market as that job report indicated. So again, Fed's Bowman maybe not raising alarms, but certainly, you know, putting up a bit of a question mark here for the most recent jobs report in her comments. Again, just under 1 hour now until the FOMC minutes for the January meeting. And at any moment, we could be having that White House press conference, or press briefing rather, with Caroline Leavitt. You guys know, I'll let you know, probably in that chat when that briefing begins. Back to you.
Get crapped on by Mulpud. I love that. All right. All right. Thank you very much for that. All right. See ya. What are we doing first?
Sharif, we're talking about how Nvidia is expanding its AI base into India, and it's increasing its footprint in India as we speak, partnering with major venture capital firms, including Peak XV, Z47, Elevation Capital, Nexus Venture Partners, and Excel India to fund its AI startups and to identify them. And over 4,000 AI startups have already signed up with Nvidia for their AI program, the Global Startup Program. So the details about this is that Nvidia is collaborating with government agencies, research institutions, domestic cloud providers like Yotta, Larsen & Toubro, and E2E networks to deploy certain AI chip clusters. And India is expecting up to $200 billion in data center investments. You can see on my screen here, Adani is a billionaire in India, owner of the Adani Group, chairman of the Adani Group. Right here says that he's pledged $100 billion towards renewable-powered AI-ready data centers. And this push by NVIDIA is aligned with India's AI mission. Again, you can see this on my screen. Something called AI Kosh is something that India has launched to push its AI presence in the space. And New Delhi has approved $18 billion in semiconductor products to build a domestic chip supply.
So I like this for a number of reasons. We know India is booming right now in terms of being a tech hub. Not only are we seeing some jobs move away from China for political reasons, finding their way into India, but they also have a ton of engineers. So they have a lot of talent, an untapped talent there that I think NVIDIA is kind of wise to, and they're looking to take advantage of. What concerns me a little bit about India is they have been protectionist at times. Case in point, Teslas. Modi, when he met with Musk, I think like a couple of years ago in New York, at around the UN time there, and he was basically, the crux of the meeting was, you want to sell them here tariff-free, you got to build them. So I think that may rear its head again when it comes to these NVIDIA chips. If they want to start building these data centers and taking advantage of Indian talent, is there going to sort of be a requirement that some or part of the supply chain for NVIDIA, be shifted or produced in India? Now, obviously a lot of investments there for data centers specifically. Not clear, though, whether that money is being allocated for production or just for actual use once the data centers are up and running, and then just trying to basically monetize them. So I like the push into India specifically for geopolitical reasons to kind of move away a little bit from the concentration in China. But I worry that India has had protectionists policies in the past. What's your view?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great move there. We definitely need more data centers to kind of the demand that's happening with a lot of this AI expansion, and I like it. I think that Nvidia is again doing what they need to do, and I guess that the support from Indian businesses and especially. What was it? The Adani group.
Adani, yep.
Definitely will be a positive catalyst here. But we saw that yesterday. Nvidia did catch a bit of a bid after hours on some news where it was like Meta's choosing them over AMD. Any sort of catalyst that this thing is getting, this thing's just consolidating and holding a higher low here. So that's what I really like as well. Again, confluenced with positive outlook with how Nvidia hopes to expand there in India. This chart looks like it's wanting to expand even higher off of these ranges that are stepping up higher and higher as well. So Nvidia looking quite nice.
This is INDL. This is, I think, an India ETF. 200 of the MSCI India, the India index. This has kind of been the price action lately. So it looks like, caught that spike late 24. Right before the election, and it seems like it's been a sell since that time. So that's interesting here to kind of just get an idea of how the market is gauging Indian stocks or Indian economy. So this is INDL for anybody who's wondering. I guess highs there at 77 back before the election in September of 24. Canada won. What was the score, Katina, man? 4-3 in overtime. So we beat the Americans? No, it's quarterfinals. That's quarterfinals. Check. Okay, thank you, Katina, man, there. All right, so that's INDL. Sia, what do we have next?
Next up, we're talking about Meta expanding NVIDIA AI partnership, and it's deploying millions of NVIDIA chips across its AI data centers, including standalone Grace CPUs and next-gen Vera Rubin systems. So financial terms weren't disclosed for this. However, analysts are estimating the agreement is worth tens of billions of dollars, Sharif, and a significant portion of Meta's capex flowing into NVIDIA. Meta also had previously announced its plans to spend up to $135 billion on AI in 2026, broader commitments by $600 billion in U.S. infrastructure by 2028. The company is also building 30 data centers. Sorry, I'm just going to scroll down here for more information. Yeah. As you can see on my screen here, they're going to build 30 data centers globally, including massive U.S. facilities. And Meta has become the first hyperscaler to deploy NVIDIA's Grace CPUs just as standalone chips.
So I like the amount of money that they're going to spend. I don't think the market does. $135 billion on AI capex in 26. I think what a lot of people are rightfully concerned about is the immediate monetization of that $135 billion. As I said many times, I don't feel they have the same runway for monetization as some of their competitors. I'm specifically talking about Amazon, specifically talking about Google, who have cloud, and Microsoft, but Microsoft's seen better days, obviously, who have that runway with their cloud services to offer Neo Cloud, aka AI embedded with the cloud services. So that's an immediate method or immediate runway to monetization, whereas Meta either has to do it from the product side, like we've seen them do there with their wearables, or there has to be a reflection there in the advertising revenue, because 97% of their money, of their revenue, is coming from advertising. So it has to be tied in with that. They don't have a cloud service to monetize. So that's my immediate thought there. The other thought that I'm getting is when we go down here, Assassino, on the competitive and strategic context in my morning note, it says Meta continues diversifying chip supply. It builds it in-house, and we're going to see a lot more of that, I promise you, as well as using AMD hardware, and they've explored Google's TPUs for 2027 deployment. So what is this in-house build? As we've been talking about, ad nauseum, custom or application-specific integrated circuits. Who stands to benefit from these ASICs? You got the Marvells, you got the Broadcoms, others, and a lot has been made by analysts about actually bringing that whole design department in-house. Oh, who does that? Apple. right? We know that Apple makes their own M series. We know the designs, made by Taiwan Semi. We know that they make their own A series, and now we're seeing Google doing it. We're seeing Amazon doing it with Trainium. So TPUs for Google, Trainium for Amazon. And I think Microsoft threw their hat into the ring. I don't remember the name of theirs as well, but they're also making custom ASICs as well. So that has concerned me, and it's concerned me for a while, that it's going to eat into NVIDIA's margins. They are 70-some-odd% gross margins. That's insane for a physical product. You typically see that for SaaS or software or something not a physical product. So that continues to concern me for NVIDIA, not Meta specific, obviously. Oh, your view.
You know, I think when I saw the news coming in last night, the first thing that I saw was, why is AMD tanking? Right? So I was like, okay, well, something's definitely going on with AMD, but then I noticed that Nvidia also kind of popping around as well. So I think this as much as, you know, Meta didn't really quite move, but AMD might be in a little bit of trouble here as, you know, more and more companies go towards Nvidia, even though we saw some adoption for AMD chips. They're just not there yet. We see that Nvidia continues to stay the leader when it comes to some of this cutting edge, bleeding edge technology for some of these centers and everything that these guys need. So Meta, interesting stuff here, but didn't really move anything like anything crazy on that. You can see here on the 15-minute yesterday, we did catch a bit of a pop here, but that got taken right back out. We go here to the weekly chart, you can see that Meta's been kind of sideways. It's in a consolidation. This range right here is what I'm looking at. So we had a strong bid, again, all the way from 2022. This was a beautiful V-shaped recovery that I did cover multiple times, I think, last year as well. This is almost textbook, and look at the breakout of this right here. That happened in January of 2024. This bid that kind of broke down once again off of April. You can see that bid right here broke down aggressively in October of 25. And since then, we're struggling to kind of retake some of those highs. So that's what I'm watching here on Meta. This is the range that I'm more concerned with, 750s roughly, all the way down to 500s. We attempted to push that 750, got all the way to 795s, but since then, this is just sideways chop. So bigger picture, kind of, it just looks like no man's land here in Meta. So I don't know what's going to cause them to break out, but technically they are making higher highs and not necessarily higher lows, not necessarily higher highs, but that 750 should be interesting. And I know you like those head and shoulders. Oh. This is a little bit of a shoulder here, maybe a potential head, aggressive selling, and another potential shoulder coming in, but only time will tell. I have no idea, but Meta looking interesting, but nothing too crazy on my radar.
Okay, we're going to talk a little bit more about Meta, aren't we, Sia?
Yes, we are, Sharif. So CEO Mark Zuckerberg is set to testify in the Meta trial. And the lawsuit, as we know, it was filed by the 20-year-old plaintiff whose initials are KGM. She claims that social media use has worsened her depression and suicidal thoughts. Meta and YouTube are remaining plaintiffs, whereas, as we know it, Snapchat and TikTok have already settled. Zuckerberg is expected to face detailed questioning, right here as you can see it, about Instagram's design and what changes the firm made over the years to attract users. And Meta is also simultaneously, right here on my screen, you can see it, is facing a similar situation, a separate trial in New Mexico, compounding legal uncertainty. And Meta strongly disputing the allegations, saying that it is confident and it can show evidence that it has no wrongdoings.
So this is interesting because this infinite scroll mechanism, the specific algorithm that Meta is using, and these appearance-altering filters that is kind of making its way into this argument here, Zuck's going to have to answer questions on all those, and he can't be dodgy here, right? This is cross-examination, right? He'll probably, you know, be on for the entire day. And so I really want to hear what comes out of his examination here with respect to those issues, right? I mean, there's probably going to be some proprietary stuff that he can get away with not mentioning, but really, what is he going to have to say on those issues? So that's one. The first thing is, like I mentioned on the morning show, there are so many different lawsuits that are pending that, you know, center around this issue, but addiction and mental health, especially for youth, that really could be a legal overhang here for Meta. Now, we saw that Snapchat I think it was Snapchat that you mentioned, TikTok and Snapchat, they've already made deals. Yeah, they made a deal for this case, but that doesn't mean that binds them for the other, I don't know how many lawsuits that they're mentioned in that, you know, could make their way into courts. They'll maybe strike deals for that, or they may litigate. So to me, I think Meta is trying to get ahead of this whole thing and use this as a possible test case to put the kibosh on some of the other pending lawsuits that may be making their way through the system. So that does kind of concern me. That was one of the reasons specifically I got out of my Meta position, because I didn't want this legal overhang. It's not just the quantum of money that they're going to have to pay out. I don't think it'd be substantial enough to hurt Meta. I just wonder what the winds of change will bring for social media if, you know, this case ends up making it to the fore and really people get their people are already changing their opinion on social media.
Yeah, no, I think this is a kind of a, you know, a little touchy topic. I do have strong opinions on this. Listen, no one is really forcing you to use these apps. These apps are obviously going to work in their personal interests, right? That dopamine, that free scroll, that continuously gives you hits of dopamine. You know what else does?
What?
Drugs. Right? And they're also pretty much, you know, relatively available in today's world.
Yeah.
Right? I went to high school.
You went to high school.
Of course. You know what I mean? Like it really matters. Like, what are the life choices people are making? I understand that people love to kind of sue and, you know, these big firms to maybe catch a bit of a paycheck, but at the end of the day, the decisions that you make are basically your own.
Do you feel that
it's like, I don't have TikTok on my phone.
I respect that, but you're an adult. Do you feel, I'm not arguing with you, but do you feel that same standard applies to youth?
Of course, why not?
That's fair. I'm just asking a question.
Why not? Okay. Again, I understand. Like growing up with Instagram and like Snapchat and all of that. Sure, it gives you that good feel. It gives you all of that as well. But you just like in anything in life, you have to kind of have a diversified attention, diversified hobbies.
Fair.
If you're always on something, there's obviously some sort of a problem. Now think about it this way: if that one thing is going to continuously give you dopamine and you move away from it, of course you're not going to feel so good. Yeah. That's like your dopamine drip. So obviously getting over that will take time. There's rehabilitation for this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, like it's people forget how much in control they are of their own lives.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
With respect to the youth issue, I think that there should be more onus on the parents, but that's just kind of my take there. Like, because I feel that, you know, adolescents, youth, you get a pass because you're not in adulthood yet, but somebody's got to bear the burden of that responsibility, and I feel like there might be a little bit more. And to be fair to some of these social media companies, haven't they included some filters and stuff like that, like to limit the amount of time that you can go on?
It's definitely there. It's definitely there. Like some of the apps, like, hey man, I'm not immune to this either. Some of the apps, maybe I'm like scrolling and it just like, oh, you've been on for this amount of time, and I'm like, okay, fine. You know, it makes sense. It makes sense that you know, I should kind of take a break, go touch some grass and do something else with my life.
On TikTok during the week. I don't go on TikTok during the week. That's reserved for Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, because there's a chance I may not be able to put the phone down. No.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
I'm
it
kidding.
definitely happens,
effect,
man.
but
again, don't forget that you are in control of your life. That's my main emphasis there. And if you are struggling with app addiction. There are ways. There are people out there to help you. There are other things out there that can definitely mitigate some of those issues. So.
All right, let's talk about the next topic, Sia.
Obi, I agree. I feel like addiction is also, it's called addiction for a reason, right? And it's in your hands. Anyways, well, let's move on to our next story. Tesla, California DMV suspension. So the California DMV has confirmed that Tesla has successfully avoided the 30-day suspension of its sales and manufacturing license after dropping the term autopilot and from its marketing materials and states. So what had happened was that the suspension came from a DMV lawsuit, which alleged that Tesla had misled consumers about the capabilities of its autopilot and FSD systems. The DMV director, Steve Gordon, also stated that the department is satisfied that Tesla has taken the required corrective action to comply with consumer protection laws. And so now the the suit was originally filed in July of 2025, seeking the suspension of Tesla's license after probing the company's ADAS marketing claims. And regulators argue that Tesla mischaracterized autopilot and FSD, like I mentioned, in consumer-facing markets. So Tesla has faced scrutiny after reporting 5 additional robotaxi-related crashes in Austin, Texas last month, bringing a total of reported incidents to 14. Now, Tesla had closed at 410.63, which is down 1.63% on Tuesday, and it also slipped another 0.36% after hours, which made it to 409.15.
I see this as highly political, especially since it's basically one jurisdiction doing this. And give me a break. Do you really think that autopilot, the word you can just go in and sit down and it's going to do everything for you? Well, then, I mean, isn't the autopilot on the airplane called autopilot as well? Should they be sued? Because it's not going to land the plane for you. It just holds it level and then basically directs it to the setting on the compass that you put it on. I mean, this is so stupid, right? And it says FSD supervised. I think that this is highly political in a state where he's been moving jobs away from Fairmont to Nevada to Texas, now even in New York, believe it or not, he's hiring people in Buffalo. So I think that this is just political backlash, and I don't see it as any more than that. What's your take, Obi?
I think I'm not really following along with some of the developments that Tesla's doing too closely as much as you guys are, but I do think that we're kind of headed in somewhat of the right direction. There's going to be hiccups along the way. That is a given, especially when we're transitioning to a phase where you're going to have driverless vehicles. We're transitioning to a world where AI will be making a lot of decisions for a lot of businesses as well, and the question becomes how the adoption and the adaption from people is going to be riddled with these speed bumps. Okay. No pun intended. But I think we have to go through these things over time to kind of iron those kinks to kind of enter into a better future, and I think this is just more of that.
Okay, fair enough. Adara.
Know here, U.S. according to, I guess, Marco Rubio with the U.S. Department of State, they're going to be imposing visa restrictions against Iranian officials. So keep an eye here, potentially in some of these oil names, some Iran news. It's also worth noting that U.S. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt just began her briefing. So Iran on watch, and this press briefing also on watch. If there's anything of note and market related from that press briefing, you guys know I'll give you immediate coverage. Back to you.
I think that's a Venezuela pump there because they could be really, and besides, it's a physical product pump as well. A lot of money's been moving in to all the physical product because of the disruption of OpenClaw.
I was just telling Sharif, have you seen XOM over the past couple of weeks on that? I know a lot of people are kind of,
if we can go to the,
they're like, there's obviously tensions rising around the world, and if tensions do rise and things do come into fruition, then oil is definitely going to be on watch. Yeah, 100%. And guess what? There are definitely people who are already front running that trade.
When you send a bunch of carriers, into the Middle East, I told you, if the Strait of Hormuz gets blocked, we're going to be paying like $2 a liter here. All right, let's go on to the next story, Sia.
So Microsoft has committed $50 billion to global AI expansions. Microsoft has announced that it is on pace to invest $50 billion by the end of the decade to accelerate AI adoption across countries in the global south. And a core pillar of the plan is focusing on building out digital infrastructure required for AI deployment. And this also supports Azure's long-term growth narrative. Microsoft is aiming to empower schools, nonprofits, and local communities with AI training and technology tools.
All right, so this is a very, very nice headline for Microsoft. It looks, they're investing in the global south. They're trying to, bring up the standard of living by employing people in those locations. The way I look at this is completely different. And the reason is, we got hit here in Canada by this very same story. Let me explain. So one of the questions put one of the government officials on a news segment was, okay, let's build out these data centers in Alberta. Who's going to own the data? If President Trump goes to Microsoft, Satya Nadella, whoever, and says, I need all the data that went through Azure, does Canadian data get included in that? Or is there going to be some sort of legal protection that kind of excludes the data that's offshore, but under Microsoft's purview? Because we know that they're doing this in the Middle East, because they won't sell any of these Nvidia GPUs to any Middle Easterners, companies, of course, G42 included, unless they have an American partner. So who owns the data here as they open up more data centers all across the world? This concerns me big time, right? And I don't really have a problem, obviously, with President Trump or the Americans at all. That's not my point. The point is there's going to be people who ask these type of questions, as our government was asking. So that's kind of the way that I take the expansion of data centers in what they're calling here the Global South. What's your take?
When it comes to Microsoft, I think my biggest concern with Softy right now is what's happening here on the weekly chart. So you can see, I mentioned this yesterday as well. Look at these volume bars, Sharif.
Sir.
The past 3 weeks, the volume bars here have been higher than any sort of average volume that we've seen since 2023, maybe even 2022, with the aggressive selling coming in. And that selling comes in on the break of structure of that 470, 475 area. And I keep pointing out this, whatever you want to call this pattern here, the break of trend, we attempted to push, just simple price action here, attempted to push 550 a couple of times, slammed down here the week of July 28th, slammed down once again the week of October 27th, and then we start to slowly kind of trickle off, bleed out, and then aggressive volume over the past 3 weeks, ripping right back down, almost making a beeline towards previous structure here on Microsoft. So that is my biggest concern in terms of how am I going to exercise a potential higher time frame trade on this one if it continues to show more of the same here. But those aggressive volume bars are definitely saying something.
Yeah, good call out on those volume bars. They stand out like a sore thumb. What's Ackman up to, Sia?
So Bill Ackman's Pershing Square has increased its Amazon stake by more than $865 million, which has expanded the stake by 65% in Q4 alone. And the total holding now exceeds $2.2 billion. Despite the Q4 gains, Amazon has fallen more than 12% in Q1 in 2026, which is reflecting a broader mega cap pressure. And a 9-day losing streak has wiped out more than $450 billion in market cap, Sharif.
So what I like about this, Sia, is that he was not buying when we had the huge drop. I'm talking about Bill Ackman and Pershing Square, obviously. It doesn't look like he was, bargain hunting, because he picked this up, I think, at higher levels. So let me just see here exactly. Yeah. So the buying came during a period where Amazon gained roughly about 5%. That was back in Q4 of last year, suggesting that he had conviction as opposed to bottom fishing. But we know exactly what this transaction here has entailed. Berkshire Hathaway all but gets out of their entire position on Amazon. And Ackman, he's been buying. But he's not just buying Amazon, he's buying Meta as well. So he's quite aggressive here in his views, and I respect him. Obviously, he's very successful. I feel that, number one, with the Meta purchase, again, like we talked about, I feel that there is a contingent liability with these lawsuits. And then with Amazon, I think that the street is really making them pay for having that enormous CapEx. I like Amazon's kind of pathway to monetization a lot better than Meta's, for the exact reason I articulated earlier, is that they have AWS where they can monetize NeoCloud. And so you can kind of see some near to intermediate term returns on those CapEx. But I don't think that 200 some odd billion that they were forecasting for CapEx is lost on the market at all. Obi, you used to be known as the Amazonian.
Yes.
Tell us.
I mean, that was mainly because I was kind of, attempting to learn, some maybe order flow or price action, just basically solely off of Amazon. But, long gone are those days, and you know, I don't necessarily swing on those vines very often anymore. Only when it's very much in play. But yeah,
swinging,
I mean, definitely I'm swinging some other names, but not this one for sure. I do like that you know, it is holding its own here amidst all the rest of the Mag 7s. You can see here that a bit of a trend. Now, again, I know you guys get a little crazy when I throw on some of my indicators.
Show 'em.
Boom.
Oh,
right here.
my
so
days.
What's interesting to me here is more of these, forget about these horizontal lines. Those are just lines that I haven't really edited out. These are a lot of anchored VWAPs from the past couple of years, which I thought were significant, maybe earnings events or other events that Amazon did have. Interestingly enough, we've gotten below these anchors a couple of times here in July of 24, and that's going to be March, April of 25, right? When the whole market caught a bid. And it seems like we're catching a little bit of a bid every time we get below these levels. So what's interesting to me right now is that we're entering that zone once again. So the question becomes, will Amazon be able to hold this 170, 180 area if we do kind of continue to make these higher highs and higher lows here with aggressive sells to the upside? The range of this upward trend is definitely expanding. You can see that very easily here. Last time we went from 240s all the way down to 160s. Now we're going from 270s to 260s. We're currently at 205. So that's the only question I'm asking. If I'm looking for a higher low to be made, it's going to be above this prior low of 161s. We're currently at 205. So I'm just going to continue watching this, see how certain things develop. You can see here from the past 187 prior highs as well. We did kind of violate those, but this little chop from April, that I think for a lot of these stocks on these pullbacks, I'm going to be looking for in and around that range that we bid up from April, because that's where that real bid came in last year.
For sure,
and
we know that.
What do we do with that? Do we hold above it? I like that. Do we come in and test it and hold once again? Do we kind of wash it and then hold it? I like that. Do we actually break down? I'll be watching for all of that here on Amazon as well as some of the others. But I think when it comes to the Mag 7s, as I mentioned before, Softy is definitely saying something, and that could be one of the leaders that brings us into some of these levels from before. So
that's fair. I wanted to mention those tariff tantrum lows actually took us back to periods in 23. So, you know, that was a definite test. So I like those tariff tantrum lows as, you know, a really, really rock solid base. Now, I'm not saying it's the end all and be all, but those took us back almost 2 years. So if those levels.
That was panic. That was panic selling. And like the smart buyers, the smarter buyers, like, as you know, how the saying goes, you have to buy, you have to be comfortable buying when everybody else is panicking.
Exactly.
And that panic was absolutely crazy. And those buyers kind of were the reason why we kind of, you know, built that base and built back up. So basically come back to that, I'm just like, if we get into those areas, do those buyers start stopping out?
I would assume so. I mean, if they were doing that in the face of tariffs, and we'll see. We'll pause the news segment for a second. We're going to Adara with news.
Yeah, this will be brief, but I think it is worth mentioning given the situation here with oil and Iran. We did just have White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt asked if Trump is considering striking in Iran. She said diplomacy is always his first option, and he's hoping for a deal. So she wasn't ruling it out, though she did say the goal here is to strike a deal so that a strike in Iran is not necessary. Again, oil and some of these names that move, I guess, in antipathy with oil, that would be the cruise lines and airlines are going to be on watch as we do have Iran strikes in focus. Again, back to you.
All right. Thank you very much, David, for that. Great question, David. I responded to you in the chat, but I want to read it out loud because I think a lot of people could have different opinions on this. Sharif, if the oil thing happens, what is the safest play to get ahead of price moves? Straight out of HU mentioned. What does that mean? I don't... the Strait of Hormuz. Thank you. The Strait of Hormuz that you mentioned. Personally, for me, you could look at USO, look to trade the barrel because we know the barrel will respond. If you don't want to trade a futures contract, which is the CL Henry Hub, you don't want to do that. You don't have access to it. Obviously, you need a lot of leverage or a lot of money in order to trade those contracts. USO, I'm thinking CVX, XOM, but there are many other derivative plays that will be affected. Think of airlines that, you know, will have to pay more at least, you know. I don't want to say they're going to pay more because a lot of them have futures contracts that guarantee the price of jet fuel like 6 to 8 months in the future, but they typically react anyway. Anything that is really using oil for plastics, anything like that, what would be your move?
So here's the thing. You're asking this question now.
Yes.
Trust me, people on the street have already been answering this question. And the move has already happened.
Let's
it's
hear it.
happening right now. I pointed it out earlier. XOM through that 120. Continuous back-to-back week bid with expanding volume. It's already happening. You want to take a look at USO, haven't really looked at it yet, but XOM I'm definitely keeping eyes on as well. USO may be lagging behind here, but from the lower end of its range, also getting bought up over the past few weeks. XOM actually had a technical breakout as well, and that's giving it more of an umph, but still, bidding has already been started on these names with, look at that, with expanding volume over the past few weeks. The trade is already on.
And that's a hell of a flat top if that manifests.
If
like,
this actually breaks out, then
maybe
maybe USO could be something as well. And from a technical perspective, if we really break through this 84 with some strength and some volume, that breakout can definitely come in there as well. But just to reiterate, the trade is definitely already on.
All right, fair enough. Let's go back to Sia.
Sharif, Nvidia has fully exited its ARM stake, and it's unloading roughly 1.1 million shares, which are valued at $155.8 million as at the end of Q3. And the position is dated back to ARM's 2023 IPO, where Nvidia had participated as a strategic investor group, part of a $735 million strategic investor group. And Nvidia has failed $40 billion takeover of ARM collapsed in 2022, only due to regulatory pressure, but the companies did remain commercially tied. I also want to mention that ARM has reported a fiscal Q3 revenue of $1.24 billion, which is up 26% year over year and above expectation. And ARM currently carries a market cap of nearing $135 billion, reflecting premium AI exposure.
So that failed takeover obviously was during the wrath of Lina Khan, where basically nobody could, amalgamate, buyouts, mergers, acquisitions. They all basically took a break during that 4-year period that obviously has ended. But what really sticks out to me is that they're maintaining that 20-year ARM architecture license. They're using it with grace, and it's built on ARM technology. We know ARM obviously really specializes more in mobile chips, but clearly here being used by Nvidia for Grace, which is their CPU that comes with, I think, it comes with, Blackwell. But Jensen said this specifically, I think, in a previous interview. He emphasized that the long-term partnership and support that he has for ARM, and he reinforced that, any selling by Nvidia of ARM shares would be basically for portfolio management and not as a result of operations. So I don't look at this any negatively. But I do recall the report saying that there were issues with the licensing. There's licensing and then there's another one. I think they have two arms of revenue. I forget the other one, licensing and something else, royalties or whatever. There was some stress in that business. So what's your take here? I mean, I've never owned ARM. Have you?
No, I think I've only day traded it, and what a beautiful day trading vehicle as well. Just want to mention the market is taking a pretty decent, significant pullback here. We were consolidating for, I guess, was it 11 o'clock to about almost. We'll say about 1 there, roughly, for a couple of hours there, and then now breaking those lows, breaking those structures. So I'm seeing that Apple that I was watching back into VWAP, Softy back into VWAP, Amazon back into VWAP. We were talking about how Amazon was relatively strong as well. So yeah, a lot of things pulling right back in, as well as SPY kind of breaking below VWAP. TQ is not there just yet, but on its way for sure. ARM was interesting to me again last night. I was wondering why ARM would move with that Nvidia news as well. It had a bit of a sympathy push as well, and then right back down. It corrected itself. I was just like, well, that makes no sense, and then kind of comes right back in. So the market kind of balancing itself. But today, sideways consolidation happening here. I'm not too familiar with what's been going on there, but I guess Nvidia kind of putting them to the side and
Right.
being like, okay, we don't really necessarily want to hold them anymore. So that's a bit of news to me. So thank you for bringing that. But when it comes to ARM on a higher time frame, you can see it's just been choppy, straight chop. This is the consolidation that we've been having pretty much since its IPO. Now, these were some of the beautiful days here when it finally broke out. This was when I was day trading it quite often here. You can see the ranges in some of those weeks. The volatility was quite nice as well. But since then, we've been kind of just chopping around in this range from 87s to 182s, 183s at the same time. So maybe more of the same. Maybe we got some expanding volume or increasing volume coming into earnings, with earnings being the strongest volume as of recent. Here, even kind of surpassing this bar here in January of 25, but maybe we're taking a trek back to the higher end of the range, so that's what I'm watching ARM for here.
We have to go to Adara at the big desk with news.
Yeah, I'll be quick here, but I just want to mention, as we get that move, as Obi mentioned, down in the market, kind of came around the same time we get this post from an Axios reporter on X saying that the Iran talks in Geneva were, and I quote, a hamburger stuffed with nothing. And this reporter also saying that that's one of the reasons why Trump is going to be making a decision very soon on whether or not he will be, quote, going to war with Iran. Now we do have, actually, as I say this, Caroline Levitt, White House press secretary, saying that there, quote, was a little bit of progress made in Iran. So echoing the idea that there was some progress in Iran, but not a huge amount. Again, this is relevant because of oil, guys. Back to you.
You can't look at them as rational actors. You know what I mean? Like, if you're
that just
not
goes for
basing it
governments
on
in
dollars
general.
and cents, and your decision making is based on something other than that, you know, on security or money, it's hard to predict. All right, Sia, we're talking about PANW.
Yep, we're talking about Palo Alto. Palo Alto has reported a fiscal Q2 EPS of 1.03 versus 94 cents that was expected. The revenue came in at $2.59 billion, narrowly beating the $2.58 billion consensus. And the revenue has grown 15% year over year from a $2.3 billion, which, while net income has jumped to $432 million from $267 million as of last year, and a fiscal Q3 EPS guidance of 78 to 80 cents per share, which is well below the 92 cents street estimate, but the revenue guidance $2.94 billion to $2.9 billion, which has topped expectations of $2.6 billion. And now Palo Alto has also announced that it is acquiring an Israeli cybersecurity startup, Koi, to secure AI agents as AI-driven threats are growing more sophisticated. And the company has recently closed its largest ever deal, which is a $25 billion acquisition of CyberArk. And it's also finalized a $3 billion plus purchase of, Chronosphere in January.
Okay, I got four things here I want to talk about when it comes to PANW. The first one is basically a great segue from what Sia was talking about, CyberArk. That's their biggest acquisition ever, $25 billion. The concern here by analysts is that the integration costs with the acquisition of CyberArk is going to eat into the margins a lot faster than the CEO had, basically thought platformization was going to expand margins. So you have near-term margin contraction with a view to having long-term or intermediate-term margin expansion. I'll see it. I'll believe it when I see it. That's my first concern. $25 billion is not a small sum of money. Number two, they actually raised their full-year revenue outlook to about $11.3 billion, but they cut their annual profit forecast. So what's the whisper here being talked about? Believe it or not, people are actually saying that they're offering deep discounts to some of their customers to lure them away or keep them away from CrowdStrike and Zscaler. What does that have the effect of doing? Oh, I know, margin compression, you're offering discounts. Yes. That's trouble, okay? I don't like that. Thirdly, this next generation security, NGS that they're calling it, which has annual recurring revenue, ARR, grew significantly, fantastic. But the actual private chatter here is that there's a deceleration in that top line number. I believe it's the 7th consecutive quarter that top number for ARR drops year over year. That's not good. It's not good when you get that top number dropping in any event. And then the last one is here, they want to be known as sort of a software company, but they still have a lot of firewall business. And they're not seeing any, or not, I shouldn't say any, they're not seeing nearly as much renewal in that hardware firewall business than they typically, or they thought they would. And the reason is because people are kind of being a little stingy with their IT budgets and their cybersecurity budgets, believe it or not. It's not an area that I would look to cut spending on, but that's what's happening. So those are the 4 key areas specifically that make me worry about my panned up position. And, you know, it's something that I haven't quite reconciled in my mind yet. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think some of that margin compression that you mentioned was definitely that's kind of what was my perspective this morning, and I was like, the market definitely reacted to that, even with some decent numbers in other places of their report. We can see that aggressive selling and coming in off of the open. I did have a very strong short bias on this one. I was just like, okay, 150 over under. You can see a little bit of a struggle on that 150 on this pullback. Another thing, Sharif, was this thing was on SSR this morning. Now, SSR, it can be a little difficult for something on SSR to sell off, especially if it's not just, you know, prior longs doing some of the selling here. In the pre-market session, this thing did over 13 to 10 times relative volume. So a lot of volume being done in the pre-market session, can't really get past that 150 off of the open. So I did stop out a couple of times. I think I mentioned this. I showed you guys the trade that I had here on PANW, getting stopped out a couple of times. But you can see here when it does finally break through that 151, which was opening range high, it still has not been able to look back. Still kind of struggling on the sell side. Every single pullback gets kind of bought right back up and consolidating near some of these pre-market highs. So maybe a day 2 move, maybe we accumulate some shorter term longs here so we can finally get a proper sell pressure coming in on an SSR name. This is going to be SSR tomorrow as well. So I definitely will have eyes on this. I liked the earnings report in terms of from a trading perspective for a potential downside move, but that move already came in the after hours. It came in the pre-market. I think pre-market involvement was definitely necessary if I want to, I'm talking to myself here, if I want to take advantage of some of this move here, where we traded all the way from 154s, 153s down to 147s, their opening range low coming in exactly at 147.13, but we did catch a bid. We're catching a bit of a curl here, but again, this is maybe more market related than anything as the market continues to push a little bit lower here after a strong bid in the morning. But PANW going to continue to stay on watch for that very reason, that margin compression that you're talking about here.
All right, let's go to Adara. And Adara, while we're there, give us your take on ARM and PANW, please.
Yeah, 100% I can talk about that. So with our friends here at the Fed, I want to let you guys know, I'm seeing some people in the chat asking, what are the Fed minutes? The Fed minutes are coming out at 2 p.m. Eastern. That is 8 minutes from now. Now, again, we're not going to get specific. You know, it's not like a he said, she said rundown. We're not going to know exactly what Fed thought what thing at what time. What we're going to get, though, is a look at, of the 19 Fed members, you know, what was the general consensus? Were most feeling this way? Were some feeling that way? Were more people than before feeling this way? And I'm using that language because that's the language the meeting minutes are going to use. It's very vague. It's very kind of sometimes, often, always, never type talk. So that's what we're going to be getting here again in about 10 minutes. We are expecting, though, some disagreement given the dissenting vote. Palo Alto Networks, the main thing I just wanted to mention was I find it kind of interesting that they have the EPS guiding lower, like they're missing estimates for the next quarter, but they also cut their guidance for fiscal 2026 for EPS while raising for sales. So I find like that earnings to EPS discrepancy to be interesting for Palo Alto. That's really the only thing I had to say about that report. The ARM thing, though, I think I really, really want to highlight this. Like, ARM was not the only position Nvidia revealed that they sold during that 13F for Q4 2025. They also cut Applied Digital. They cut WeRide. They cut Recursion Pharmaceuticals. Now, all 3 of those stocks were down heavy. Why wasn't ARM? That is very likely because, and I am citing Sherwood here, which is a news agency. They also do some fun little infographics as well. You know, I like infographics over here. But Sherwood is basically saying that they think the reason ARM didn't drop when the other 3 stocks that Nvidia sold did drop was because that Nvidia pact extension with Meta that we already spoke about ad nauseum will likely benefit ARM as well. because ARM-based CPUs are likely to be used in that deal, and that's going to be likely a more prominent role in data center environments as a whole. So it's the CPU emphasis that is why ARM was up. I did want to address that as we send you back over to Obi and Sharif.
Thank you very much for that, Adira. With a few more minutes left, what are we talking about next, Sia?
Sorry, we're talking about WBD. Warner Brothers Discovery has received a 7-day waiver from Netflix, allowing renewed talks with PSKY. And the waiver runs through the 23rd of February, which gives Paramount time to clarify about the deficiency and submit a final best offer. Paramount has also launched, sorry about that here, Paramount has also launched a hostile $30 per share all cash tender offer after losing to Netflix in a prior bidding war. But certain sources tell us that a senior Paramount rep has indicated willingness to go to $31 per share if the talks formally reopen. So now Netflix currently has a $27.75 per share all cash deal for WBD's streaming and audio assets.
I want to show you something over here.
Yes.
This actually took me by surprise.
Ooh, okay.
I
like
was
this.
really surprised by this. I hadn't thought to look at Polymarket to see.
You got to look at Polymarket.
Well, I know, right?
Yeah.
Stupid of me to do that. But who will close the Warner Brothers acquisition? It isn't who you think. I thought it was Netflix. I thought Netflix definitely had the lead here, even though President Trump, initially said he might block it. He came back later. He said he's not going to get involved. He's going to let it go through the DOJ. But Paramount has a 52% chance, and that's up 11%. I don't know from when. We can look at the chart. This is the chart right here.
When was that? Just right there. Look, it
so
crosses over. Look at the the crossover.
The crossover happened on, does that tell, February 17th. That's yesterday. So that's because they invited them to do this new bid. I'm assuming it has something to do with that. Netflix dropping 32%. Netflix has been in the lead since the get-go with save and accept for this over here. Back on, what day was that? Oh, June 30th. No, what the hell? What day is that? I can't see the date. How come it showed me the date earlier and I couldn't see
January.
Oh, it's up here, sorry. December 15th. The December 14th, that's when it flipped. So, I mean, I really don't have much to add, obviously, because we've talked about the story ad nauseum. But look at this, none. None is also catching a bit of a bid, up 18%. This is interesting here from...
No, I think it's a good look to kind of look into the prediction markets because again I was looking into some things there as well. It is probably the more granular I guess, funnel of information because people will definitely put money onto something that they believe or something that they know. So the rumor mill or maybe some insider information or whatever it is, people are probably putting money on the line of that. And prediction markets can definitely be pretty decent at that. Yeah, you should probably check.
Yeah, I'm checking as well. We're going to do it now.
Same bet as
Netflix.
well. But something that I did notice was that the difference, the dollar volume difference between those two was only 25K. So I think that also kind of plays a factor for me as well, where that dollar volume coming in, 20K more on some of those bets may not be as big of a difference as some of the other discrepancies that we've seen in prediction markets. So
Paramount with a decided lead here on Kalshi as well, but it's interesting where it flipped. So on I think Polymarket we saw the 17th, which was yesterday. This one flipped on the 15th. I'm pretty sure more on the 16th, but it looks like it flipped on the 15th. In any event, guys, these things are not, obviously 100% accurate, nor are you vouching for them. It's interesting to see what the markets and the prediction markets specifically are saying. We will know when we know. Adira, give us your take on this latest development.
I will try to be brief here because of minutes. I have a lot of thoughts. Here's the thing. If I was betting on Polymarket or Kalshi, I'd be going Netflix or nobody. Why? Because Netflix made a cute little statement here, and I say cute because it's hilarious, after they basically said they're going to be allowing this conversation. They said that Paramount Skydance antics, quote unquote, are causing, quote unquote, distractions. So they just basically want PSKY to deal with it. I don't think we're going to get any changes from this because Warner Brothers still wants Netflix, Netflix still wants Warner Brothers, and they just need to shut Paramount up and have an excuse to tell the regulators, we let them talk. No one wants this deal, though. So I actually think this is a really good move for Netflix and Netflix alone because it's very clear from the language of both Warner Brothers and Netflix. Paramount is still the little outsider, the little sister who's never going to be able to borrow the car from the, the bigger sister or whatever. They just need to give an excuse to look like they're being unbiased. That's why this is happening. I think Netflix wins or nobody wins based on how that whole Senate thing with Ted Sarandos went. But either way, we have everyone's 10 minutes in a minute. You don't want to hear from me anymore. Back to the guys.
Thank you. All right, Adam, thank you very much, brother, for the $5 super chat. I appreciate you, Adam. I'm sorry I missed it. Go to the Qs daily and draw a line through 608. Oh, he's dunking.
Hey, arbitrage
and get
charter,
back
let's
to
go.
me. We haven't moved in over 4 months. If anything, I see a double top on the Qs daily. Say less, Adam. I don't think the big boys are going to mind too much if we have a couple of minutes here to take a look at the Qs for the prickly one, I like to call him, but he's a great guy, by the way. All right, let's draw as he instructed us to draw. That line through 608, there it is. Let's go right there. Where we got? There we go. So that's a 608 line right there. So we haven't moved in. Yeah, absolutely. The 608 line, Adam, looks like a line of best fit. Quite frankly, you obviously see bounces off the 600 as you're going to, right? Because it's that psychological area of resistance and support. But I completely agree with you. The Qs really haven't been on the uptrend, but I don't see us selling off either. So we could be working into valuations as we had, an aggressive move after the tariff tantrum. You ever look at, price action subsequent to earnings or after a big move? There's that accumulation phase, right? Where the price starts resolving and catching up with the fundamentals, right? The projections come to reality, and then the price action will develop subsequent to that. So I don't look at this as bearish, Adam. I just it's not the greatest, especially if you're picking some up at the highs. I mean, I buy the Qs now, and I've tried to develop this strategy of buying on red day.